Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talking About Balls. I am Justin George, joined as always by Kyle Price. Kyle, how we doing today?
Good evening, sir. Great. How are you?
Great. Time to get this show shared because I am always forgetful about that. So let's start off with that. We're gonna share the show. Everybody, if you're watching at home, please share it as well. Um, this episode is called The Legend because huge news that everybody probably already saw. Phil Dawson has been elected into the Ring of Honor for the Browns. He's a legend. So we're going to talk a little bit about Phil Dawson, and we, for the time being, are
I
going to get
thought
into our
that I thought that
bullshit.
maybe the Legends was in honor of Willie Mays dying yesterday. I thought maybe we were gonna.
No, I think I named it before he died.
Oh,
So
okay,
no, and he didn't play for any Cleveland teams. I could care less. And he
got
was
it.
in his 90s. Like, I don't understand why people get so sad when people that are 90 years old die. Like, what do you expect them to do? I wasn't expecting a news story that said Willie Mays runs a half marathon. The next highlight or news article for Willie Mays would be his death. That's pretty much all you do at that age. Um, but hey, great baseball player. Kudos. But nothing gold can stay. Nobody lives forever. Um, so let's get right into the bullshit. I feel like Kyle is in a better, I won't say mood, better place this week.
I'm in a better place. I'm not 100%, but I'm better. Had a nice weekend to kind of like reset the system, to kind of reprioritize life in general, and I think we're off to a better start this week, and things are going smooth so far. So nothing to complain about, at least not yet. But we're good.
There's always something about us, but glad. Um, so yeah, let's get right into it. This weekend, after we did the show last week, did nothing on Thursday personally. Friday night, I did go to that concert. Had a great time. Great concert. I timed it out perfectly to leave and beat traffic. It was beautiful. I got there in perfect time to see the opening band that I wanted to see. Watched them. They're called 4 Years Strong. Saw them pretty great. Then I saw the Story So Far, who have not been to Cleveland for almost 8 years, something like that, 7 years. I think 2018 might have been the last time they were here. So really, really cool to see them. And then A Day to Remember. I've listened to them for over a decade, seen them live countless times, and they are a band that fills the house. I'll give them credit. They pack the place. And traffic was a nightmare getting in downtown. So I knew leaving would be just as bad. So I planned it out perfectly. I took a look. That's the beautiful thing about the internet these days. You can see a set list in advance. So I saw their set list and I looked and I went, okay, this is going to be the spot where I want to leave. Perfect. Left right after the song that I told Tara I wanted to leave for. Ran into the condo really quick, grab all our stuff, loaded up the car, gone. No traffic at all. Got home in 20 minutes. Fucking perfect. Um, Saturday rolls around, get up. Pretty boring day, to be honest, until the evening. We went to Flannery's Pub for dinner for Father's Day with my dad. And then we saw the Back to the Future play at Playhouse Square at on Saturday night. And that was my Saturday. Interesting little nugget, though, that was kind of scary for me, if I'm being honest. I lost my valet ticket. So when I went downtown on Saturday, I completely forgot that the Rolling Stones were in town. So leading up to it, I look at the Guardian schedule and I go, cool, not a fucking thing going on downtown. Going to be probably $10 to park in that lot right by Harry Buffalo. I'll walk right to
Whoopsies.
Flannery's, walk over to Playhouse Square, no problems. Morning of, I hear the radio and they go, and tonight the Stones have their show. And I went, oh, fuck. That changes everything. So we left a little earlier, got downtown, of course, parking even by the queue, which the Stones were playing at Cleveland Brown Stadium. For those of you that know downtown Cleveland, that is not close. It's a good 20-minute walk, probably at least, just to get from Browns or from the queue to Brown Stadium. $50 to park that far away. And I was like, fuck that. I got to find something to do here. So I drove around and there's a little valet stand on East 4th that's right by Hilarities, shit like that. And it's usually about $25 to valet and then you tip. So give or take $30. Reasonable. I was okay with it. And again, they valet. So my car's covered and kind of protected, if you will. I drove over $35 on this day. Not a problem. I said, fuck it, I'll pay that. So I do it. We go to the play. I get up from my seat. We start walking out of Playhouse Square. I check my back pocket and I go, oh, fuck. My valet ticket is not in there anymore. So on the way to our car, which is about a 10-minute walk from Playhouse Square to East 4th, I start Googling what happens when you lose your valet ticket. And I'm on Reddit and I'm down a rabbit hole of people saying, they made me prove my registration. They made me identify this and they charged me extra money because I lost it. And I'm like, God damn it. This is going to be a whole fucking thing. Meanwhile, Tara's getting texts from her mom that says, hey, Teddy's a little cranky. She's not going to bed. This is about 10 o'clock at night. She's like, yeah, she's, kind of being fussy and crabby. So Tara's like, we got to go. Like, Teddy's being a little pain. So I'm like, we're going to get to the valet and they're going to hold us up and be like, hey, I'm sorry, you lost your ticket. You have to do this. We're going to charge you X amount of money for a lost ticket. I'm thinking like, this is going to be a fucking nightmare. And the whole time I'm just dreading it. 10 minutes.
Knowing you, if I know you, you're fucking like through the roof right now with every worst decision, every worst possible outcome.
Oh, I'm thinking of everything, and I'm already thinking of how I'm gonna like bitch at them and be like, I'll describe my car to a fucking T. I have a Mazda, and my Mazda synced up to an app. So on that app, it shows the location of my car. Like it's only my car connected. So I was like, I'm gonna show them my app and prove this is my fucking car. I know exactly what's on my keychain. I'm like, if they try to charge me extra, I'm going to be fucking livid. I'll pay it because whatever, they have my car. If that's their policy, it is what it is. And then I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to vent to everybody. I will never park there again. Every time I walk by East 4th, I'm going to talk shit to them. Then I get there because again, I'm a worst case scenario kind of guy. So in my head, I'm running all these scenarios and how pissed I'm going to be.
You're ready to fight right when you walk in there, don't you?
I really was. So I walk up and no offense to them, I don't care one way or the other. They were all foreign guys. So I walk up and I'm like, hey, I lost my ticket. And they all kind of just look at me with stone faces. And I go, I paid with a card. Can you look up my purchase to prove that I got a car? And the guy just goes, what's your keys? Is it just the key fob? What do you have? And I said, it's a key fob with a rubber cover on it. I said, I have house keys, a Giant Eagle card, a library card. I have a Browns keychain. Like I'm explaining my fucking thing to a T. Meanwhile, the guy just starts walking away and another guy comes up to me and just goes, hey, you paid with a card? I said, yeah. He goes, yeah, we can't put any money back on your card. I'm like, what? He's like, a refund. I'm like, I don't want a refund, dude. I want my car. And the other guy comes out with my keys, just goes, these yours? I go, yep. He goes, okay. And they went and got my car. It was so fucking easy. It took 2 seconds. And in my head, again, I am fucking furious. I'm like prepared for this argument of a century that's going to be ugly. And the guy's just like, okay, yeah, here's your car. Don't give a fuck.
That's so that life-old story. We should never jump to conclusions, right?
I can't help it. I'm a glass half empty kind of guy.
I'm the same.
I see the worst. I prepare for the worst. And he was so cool about it. And then Sunday rolls around, get up, my very first Father's Day. It was awesome. I wake up to a beautiful gift from Tara and Teddy. They got me. It's right here, actually, for my desk at work. You can kind of see it. It's a little thing. It says, Dad, I love you. Love Teddy. It's got pictures of me and Teddy and some of my favorite photos of her.
That's awesome.
It's a little glass stand, like picture frame, and a card. Tara actually had Teddy take the pen and sign her name for the very first time. Well, first time for me. I guess Tara already had Teddy do this before for somebody else's card, but we're going to pretend that didn't happen. So it says, fucking glad you're my dad. And then you open it up. It says, you are the best daddy ever. I love you. Love, Scribbles. That's Teddy.
That's amazing.
So that's awesome. My Father's Day gift. And I guess Tara said there's something else coming my way that just shipping has been fucked up. It was supposed to be here already. And she got an email today that it's now pushed back for probably another week. So I guess we'll see what it is maybe by next episode. But I'm a simple man. I don't need anything. So if she didn't get me anything else, that would have been perfect for me. But went golfing, played 18, shot a 118 actually, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is my personal lowest for 18 holes, which is improvement. And then we went back to her parents' house for some Ohio pie pizza and hung out. Actually, speak of the devil, statistic Steve Baylog, he was in my cart with me. He came golfing with us because he invited me out last weekend and I couldn't make it. We were babysitting our niece. So I texted him this week and I'm like, hey man, I know it's last minute. I know it's Father's Day. You've got 2 kids. If you want to go golfing, we could use a 4th. It's just me, Tara, and her dad. And he was like, I'm in. I was like, oh shit. All right. Wasn't expecting that, but I'm glad he came. We had a great time. Steve gave me some good pointers. We had a really fun time. Steve let he got lost in the sauce a little bit, but that happens when you go out with me. I like to put him back, and not everybody can hang. Tara always says that. Tara always jokes and says that if people try to keep up with me drinking, most would die. So I take that. I wear that as a badge of honor. So we had a great time though. We golfed at Cosset Creek in Brunswick, formerly known as Brunswick Hills, I guess.
So you were there. Were you there on Sunday?
Yeah, Sunday. Tara booked it, and it was fucking packed.
Jory was there. My buddy Jory was there. He was there with
our tee time started at basically, I think, like 12:30 almost. It was right in the middle of the fucking sun and heat, but it was all Tara could get. Everything in the morning was already taken. So
yeah, it's Father's Day. Every golf course is probably backed up. It probably took forever to get through the whole 18. Normally it takes 4 hours. How long did it take you to get through?
We made really good time actually. I honestly I couldn't tell you what time it was when we left because I was putting them back, but we made really good time. I know we got to the turn and Steve even like checked the clock and was like, "Oh shit, it's only been like 2 hours," or maybe not even, like maybe an hour and a half. Like we made pretty good time. Tara and Steve and even her dad, they're all pretty good golfers, so it helps it go by a little quicker. And then there's me, but I'm relatively quick with getting up there. Like if I shoot a shitty shot, I'll run up to it and hit it again. Like I don't waste time. And yeah, Steve said the back nine didn't happen. I think he shot like a 47 on the front nine. I shot a 57, and then the back nine, Steve kind of fell apart a little bit. Things got a little, I mean, I won't even say he fell apart. If I'm not mistaken, I think Steve shot a 97 overall. So he only shot a 50 on the back nine. Tara did win, but you know how Tara is, Kyle. You've played with her before. She picks and chooses. She plays on the ladies' tees when it's a par 5, and she plays on the men's tees when it's a par 3, and then goes, "Oh, I'll shoot from the men's tees. I'll play fair." And then when it saves her 100 yards, she goes, "Oh, I'm playing on the ladies' tees. I'm a woman. I'm allowed to play on the women's tees." Yeah,
it's Father's Day, Tara. You're not supposed to do that shit. You're supposed to let Justin win.
You know how her dad is. Mike let her hear it. It was awesome. We were talking a lot of shit to each other. Everybody was. We had a great time.
That's awesome.
That was pretty much my Father's Day, though. Had
good first Father's Day. That's great, man.
Ohio Pie Pizza. Yeah, hung out with Teddy. Had a great time.
That's great, man. Glad you had a good one.
Pretty much it. Yeah, thanks, man. How was your week?
I mean, last week was just busy with work. You know, I got to Friday. Jess went to a concert at something in Berea. I forget the name of it. It's at the something lake, Co Lake.
Oh yeah, the downtown Berea, Co Lake.
Yeah. So she went to watch Old School, I think is the band that was there. Okay. And so her and Colleen and movie, they were streaking through Berea that night.
I hope.
But her, Colleen, and I got a bunch of girlfriends of Colleen went up there. So they dropped me off at the Hydrant, you know, the go-to shithole bar, right? But I hung there for a while. Buddy Jory came up because he literally couldn't walk to that bar. So we threw a couple back, and by a couple I mean a lot. And played cornhole outside. It was beautiful outside. Had some food up there. Hung out there for a while till the girls met us up there, and then we all hung out for a little bit. Went home. Saturday, turned around, golfed 18 at Hilliard Lake over in Westlake. Great course. Ended up shooting a 90.
One right on Center Ridge.
No, it's off Center Ridge. It's off Bryan, I think.
Okay, I'm thinking of a different course. And there's one that's like
good.
It's like Crocker and Center Ridge, I think.
No, so that's a private course. That's
it is.
I forget the name of it though, but I think it's a private course. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it is. I know you're talking about right there off the corner, basically the corner of Crocker and Center Ridge.
I see it every time I go to Crocker Park, and then if I go to my dad's, I take that route.
I think it's private. I've never golfed there before, but this one, if you go down Center Ridge, if you're going towards Westlake, if you're coming up from North Olmsted, take a left on Crocker or take a left on Center Ridge, and go down there probably for a mile. Take a right on Bryan, which is probably right where that Max beverage is or whatever that beverage store is. Take a right there and go down like a mile and take a left. There's a first right on your left hand side. It's hidden back there. It's tucked away. They call it Little Augusta, which is it's a beautiful course. Challenging. Like it's. I mean, you would think it's easy because a lot of the holes are pretty much straight ahead, but it's narrow. A lot of trees. It's a narrow course. I ended up shooting like I think a 92 that day. Got to let a couple get away from me, but had a pretty good round overall. And then that night I just basically didn't do shit. Like I just went home and chilled. Actually take that back. No, Sunday I didn't do anything. That night we had to go to a cookout with one of Jess's coworkers. So we got home, changed, and basically went over to her friend's house, played some cornhole, ate some food, some barbecue, hung out with them for a while. We were home by 9. We got asked to go out that night to go to another bar. I looked at Jess. I'm like, no, can't.
Yeah, we're
like, I'm done. Let's go home and chill. And then all of Sunday, we kind of just stayed local. We're going this week to celebrate Father's Day and an anniversary day with her dad. I think we're going to Topgolf on Friday. And then we're going to do the casino afterwards. So that's all for this weekend. So kind of cool, but no, it was a good chill weekend. Good, good golfing weekend. So
I'll be going to, I don't know if you've ever been, Hot Shots, I think it's called, in like the Akron area. It's supposedly, I think it's like Topgolf.
no, never heard of it.
Okay. Tara's friend's boyfriend, Josh, Lorene and Josh.
Yeah.
It's his birthday. So Sunday we're going up there
Nice.
to shoot a little bit.
Let me know
I
how
don't
it
know if
is.
you've
I mean,
ever
you've been to Topgolf before, so let me know how it
Yeah, yeah.
compares. Oh, I forgot one thing. Me and Jess played our first annual putt game of the year last
Okay.
week. I beat her ass. So
Yeah, naturally.
1-0 Kyle. She did not have a good game.
Has she ever beaten you?
She has actually. She's
Oh,
actually
really? Okay.
She's actually pretty good at putting. So
Okay.
I mean, I just talk shit, but she's actually pretty good at putting.
The way you preface it made me think that, like, has she ever won?
Yeah, so she got thrown off her game early. So I think the second hole, we went over and played. You know where Victory Park is in North Ridgeville?
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, where Victory Park.
Prime time softball, just playing under the lights, dude. Congratulations.
Good for you, man. But we played at Victory Park over in Ridgeville. They have a little putt course back there.
Mm-hmm.
I think the third hole we were walking up to, there's a little gardener snake that slithered across the walkway. And so
I'm guessing she was looking for one for the rest of the day.
The next 4 or 5 holes, it was all in her head, and that's all it took. So yeah.
Nice. I want to let everyone know this episode is brought to you unofficially by Lone Star beer.
Oh, nice.
Grab yourself a Lone Star. Oh, you got that the office water bottle there.
A recommendation from JG over here. Sent me the screenshot on Facebook. Purchased it that day. Showed up.
It's ironic that, like, don't get me wrong, I like The Office. I've seen every episode.
It's bigger than what I thought it would be.
That thing's huge. That makes you look tiny. Like makes you look like you have a little small head when you hold that up there.
It does. Actually.
I like The Office, but I'm not like obsessed with it. Like Kyle. Kyle's a huge Office fan. It's his favorite show of all time. And I get Office shit in my like algorithm all the time. So when I saw that water bottle, I'm like, well, I don't want it. I'll send it to Kyle.
Yeah. So they have
Stephen Kwan just hit a home run. Did not expect that.
That's perfect. I had him to get a hit, and I had the Guardians winning tonight for my bet tonight. So
they're up 3-0, so that's a good start.
But they had different themes. So like obviously this water bottle is just covered in this like whatever this case, right? But they have a lot of different other themes on that site too. I was looking at. It's kind of cool. But I got to intake 100 ounces of water a day. This is 50, so I drink 2 of these a day, and I'm good. So it's great.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's my week, and that's my weekend, man. Everything else is
great.
Pretty kosher.
I saw we got a message here from George on my phone. Let me just take a look. Oh, no. Okay, gotcha. Sorry, George. I'm a little behind. I didn't see my phone. Yeah. Oh, Back to the Future. Sorry, I forgot to tell you. Yes,
I actually asked that
play.
I asked him that today, Jess. He said he liked it, but I'll let him tell you. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, the Back to the Future play was really cool. I personally, like, I've seen the movie. I'm not, like, obsessed with it. Like, I know there's a lot of people that, like, love it. They're huge fans of it. It's fine. I mean, I've seen the movie. If it's on, I'll throw it on, but I'm not like
pretty sure everybody who has a heartbeat has seen the movie. So
right. And that was early. Yeah. So my sister, my parents are extremely difficult to shop for. So my mom and my dad they both have no hobbies. They don't do anything. Like I think my dad could just sit there and stare at a wall for 12 hours a day and be totally content. He's retired, has nothing going on. Doesn't do a fucking thing, doesn't play any sports, doesn't enjoy doing anything, doesn't go out to eat, literally nothing. So shopping for him is so fucking hard. So for Father's Day, my sister usually just comes up with ideas that are like just different. So this year she's like, let's see if he'll go to a musical. So let's go to the Back to the Future musical. And we went, and I guess he had a good time. I don't know. I didn't really follow up with him after the fact. He just said,
you didn't do an exit interview?
Did you like it? And he's just like, yeah. Like, all right, cool. Happy Father's Day. See you later. And that was about the end of it. Same thing with my mom. My mom is extremely difficult to shop for. Like her birthday's coming up, and my sisters will just text ideas and just say, how does this look? You guys just want to go in on this? Just go, okay, easy enough. Something simple.
Don't you love it when other people make that decision and you just give the thumbs up or thumbs down?
Yeah,
well, actually, not even a thumbs down, because the second you give it a thumbs down, it's like, okay, well, you have a better idea. Go for it.
Yeah, I'm a gift card kind of guy. So it's like, you're hard to shop for. Here's a gift card. Go buy whatever the fuck you want.
Right. Exactly. So two questions. Because I told Dave and them because we're going with all them in 2 weeks to watch it.
Okay, sorry to
He's
hear
like,
that.
yeah. It was actually their idea because we they got tickets I think last year and they're like, would you guys want to go? And I'm like, at the time I'm like, they made a fucking musical about Back to the Future, and then you Google it, and I guess it was a huge Broadway hit. I didn't
Oh yeah,
realize
yeah,
this.
for sure.
Do they play? I would assume they play all the Huey and whatever the songs from the movie, right? Like Johnny Be Good and Power of Love. Did all those get played?
Yeah, so they do have moments of that, but it's more so like they're doing original songs that they
Got it.
wrote for the
So
play.
they work those songs in it, intertwine it
Yeah,
a little bit.
so they
Perfect.
work all that in there, and I don't want to spoil any things. I don't want to
No,
like take away
just
any
don't ruin the ending for me. I don't want to take it.
not the play itself. I don't want to ruin any of like
Yeah,
the effects. The technology that they're able to now use for a stage play is incredible.
that's
I
a
don't want
lot
to
of
spoil
reviews
anything.
on Facebook. Is like the special effects is mind boggling.
When you see the DeLorean in use, you're like, "Whoa, how the fuck?" And then there's a couple parts where they use the technology that they have and they do it in a cheesy way. I won't tell you anything else. I'll let you see it
Okay,
for yourself. You'll
sure,
more than
sure.
likely hear everybody in the place start to laugh at this time towards the end. But it was really, really cool, honestly. And again, some of the special effects, you see things moving around and you're like, how the fuck is that happening? So really cool. I enjoyed it.
Is it a two-part play? Like, do they have like a first part, intermission, second part, or is it a straight through?
No, there's an intermission. There's like a
Okay,
15-minute intermission halfway through. But yeah, they did a really good job. It's just like the movie. All the people that they have in the show are fantastic. Hey, what's up, Dave? Thanks for
okay.
checking in. The guy that plays Doc was great. The kid that plays Morty is like, or Marty is young as fuck.
Morty, you got
I'm
Morty
thinking of
on
Rick and Morty. Obviously, it's a total ripoff. Shit, Dave, what's going on, dude? How are you? Congratulations on the new place.
Yeah, looks
Furniture
great,
looks
man.
good. I saw Chipper said you're hosting a huge party, so we'll see you there.
I don't know if bad juju can fit in that living room, but it'd be a hell of a concert to
You
come
ever
to.
see the Dirt, the Motley Crue movie? You can fit a band in an
That's
apartment
true.
living room. I've seen it.
True.
But yeah, no, the play was awesome. All the people that were acting, the actors in it were fantastic. And George McFly, Marty's dad, was for me star of the show. He did such a good job. He played that role so well, and it was great. Really cool.
Yeah,
I actually really enjoyed it.
wait.
I'm a big fan of musicals, so I know I don't come off as that, but like I've seen the Phantom of the Opera a couple times. I've seen the Book of
Classic.
Mormon. Book of Mormon
Classic.
personally was fucking amazing. And this was really good. I think I've seen some others. I just can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, I don't mind going to the theater.
We're gonna try to get tickets to the MJ musical that's coming in July and August.
I keep getting notifications for that from Playhouse Square,
and I've heard that also is an amazing show to watch too. So
I was never a big Michael Jackson guy, so I don't know if I'm interested in that one.
Granted, you grew up in the whole pedophile area, I guess. So
when I was a kid, like his music was big, but him wanting to fuck kids was even bigger. And I was a kid then, so I was kind of like, I don't think I like this guy. Gives me a bad vibe. So no, I never was an MJ guy.
That's
But
great.
Yeah, we had a great weekend. Of course, it sounds like everyone on the show. Or do you have something? My bad.
I was gonna say the other one too that's interesting. I think it was last year, but the Mrs. Doubtfire musical. I don't know if you saw the previews or saw
I wanted to see that.
I wanted to see that too because again, these are just like stuff. It's like, how do you make it into a musical? I'm just more curious about that type of stuff.
Yeah, I want to know how you can write songs. Like at least Back to the Future had a lot of music incorporated in it. Like he's playing guitar. It has musical elements. Whereas Mrs. Doubtfire, he plays air guitar with a broom on the cover. That's kind of about it. Not a whole lot of music going on in that. No problem, Dave. Congrats. Honestly, man, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's great, man. Congratulations. But yeah, no, that's great, man. I love going to musicals every so often, especially if they're good, just to kind of take it all in. They do such a good job down there. We watched Les Mis last year, not Les Mis, Moulin Rouge last year down there.
Okay.
And that fucking rocked the house, like all the music, because they intertwined music from the actual Broadway, like old school movie, and then from like today's day and hits. Like it was an amazing show. I mean, I recommend to anybody.
Yeah, Dave, I got some sunburn on Sunday when we were golfing. I was smart. I wore sunscreen. You know, I knew it was going to be sunny as fucking hot. So I put sunscreen on my arms, neck, face, everything. I was good. Forgot about my legs. I was driving the cart. My left leg, just from the side up to like my knee, was just fucking lobster red. Went away after a couple days. First sunburn of the year went away, no problem. But for those first couple days, I like looked down and I'm like, God damn, that's fucking red. But I'm all good. You heal up. I'm Irish. What do you expect? I don't really tan. It's a blessing and a curse. But yeah, that's the price you pay when you golf. It's hot. You're stuck in the sun all fucking day, and there's nothing you can do about it. Speaking of golf,
Let's get
Kyle
into
wanted
it.
to lead the show off with Rory. Kyle, I'll let you take it away. Dave, she's great. We had her 4-month checkup on Monday. Doing great. She is a little over 2 feet long. She's 2 feet 24 and a half inches long, and like 12, I forgot how much, 12.5, 12 pounds, 5 ounces, I think, something like that. But doctor said everything looks good. She's doing great. Couldn't be happier. She's still a little happy baby and causing no problems.
One dog's about 2 feet long, about 11 pounds. The other one's about 4.5 feet long, about 80 pounds. No, I'm
That's
just
a
kidding.
large dog.
This bitch is bigger than I thought she'd be, but no, Dave, they're both great. They love being outside, but our bigger dog is realizing, especially this week, you cannot be outside longer than maybe 10 minutes because she starts suffocating and she can barely breathe. So we have a little sprinkler on that we turn on when we take her outside to get her to run through and try to cool her down a little bit. But let's get into golf. So I don't know if you didn't watch the U.S. Open, right? But you know golf to a point, right? You know golf.
Yeah, for sure.
So Rory is one of the, I'd say, top 3 players in the world, right? Maybe top 2 if you want to be. Technically, he is top 2. I think he's ranked second behind Scotty Scheffler in the world rankings. But one fun fact about Rory is he hasn't won a major in like 14 years, right? And he's always been chasing that major. He's come close and he just doesn't pull the trigger. For example, this one going into Sunday, I think the last 4 holes he was in the lead and he missed a very easy 2-foot putt. I don't want to say easy because I don't know how I would do on greens like that. But for a professional player such as him, it was an easy putt that he missed. And then on 18, he missed another 3.5-foot putt. Going into that, I think his record or whatever before that last round, any putt within 3 feet, he was, I want to say, I think it's like 400 and some out of 400 and some. Like he was basically perfect, and he missed 2 of them those last 3 holes. That's fine, right? You lose. Everyone loses. Bryson DeChambeau came back and won. He made a hell of a bunker shot, put it within 4 feet, drained it for the victory. That was a hell of a shot. But the problem I have with this is that the last major, which was a PGA Championship, which I happened to be at, Bryson DeChambeau was tied going into the last hole with the guy who won, Xander Schauffele, and he ended up losing. He went over and congratulated Xander in front of everybody and said, "Hey, hell of a match, hell of a game. Congratulations. You deserve it." Blah, blah, blah. Shook hands, everything, and then left, right? That's big of you, right? Sportsmanship. Rory waits around for the tournament to be over, sees Bryson put the putt in. Basically, you see him behind in the green room, whatever, shaking his head. And then not even like a half hour later is leaving. Doesn't say congratulations to him, doesn't do anything. And then the next day, I think his publicist put out like a statement basically stating that I'm sure it was him that wrote it, but then they just cleaned it up, stating that I'm going to step away from the game for a couple weeks or a couple tournaments and blah, blah, blah. And then he withdrew from the Travelers, which was this weekend, which is a pretty big tournament for a lot of PGA. Like a lot of the big names are going to be there. It's a big tournament, especially those in the hunt for the FedEx Championship, right? And so just my point of talking about this is that Rory's always been known as a little bitch ever since, like, obviously when Liv broke off and did their own thing. He's been a very big component of the PGA, just talking shit. If you ever watch that Full Swing documentary on Netflix, if you haven't, I recommend it. It's really kind of cool, but especially this year with the Ryder Cup, or this season with the Ryder Cup that happened last year.
I started it, never finished it.
He was fighting with people, arguing with people, yelling at people. Like he's just always talks shit, right? He's just one of those big guys. And for him to do this and for him to not congratulate Bryson, to leave early and just kind of put your tail between your legs and back out of a tournament, I just think he's a little bitch. And that's the point of me talking about this. I don't know, you obviously haven't seen it, but just anybody who likes golf, I think pretty much agrees that he's just a pain in the ass. Great golfer, but his personality is shit, man. And I can't wait for Liv and PGA to merge finally and get that shit figured out, to where he honestly cannot have a leg to stand on anymore when it comes to bitching about the live players. Because the last 2 tournaments, this one was a live player that won it. Bryson won it. Bryson only plays in majors because he's a live player, right? Yet he somehow accumulated enough points. He's ranked in the top 10 in the world. And only the players who are PGA golfers really get those points because they're at every tournament. So that just tells you that when you have a live player in the top 10, that's a hell of a golfer. And not to congratulate him like in person, I think it's just a bitch move. That's all. That's my 2 cents.
So yeah, no, I didn't watch. I saw a little bit of it. I don't even know if it was live. Could have honestly been a replay, but what I saw was from when I was at Flannery's. They were playing it on TV Saturday afternoon. So again, no idea if it was live, if it was a replay.
It probably
whatever.
was Saturday. I mean, that was the third round, but yeah.
Okay. So that's really all I saw. I did see after the fact everybody was shitting on Rory. And all I saw was that he was missing some easy putts and kind of had a collapse at the end. I didn't know about the whole not shaking hands thing, which personally, I don't know. You know, it's easy to have sportsmanship, but it's kind of a double-edged sword because obviously you're pissed, you just collapsed, you're fucking mad, you wanted to win. I know Rory's going through a lot of shit behind the scenes. He's like filed for divorce, unfiled. Who knows what's going on in his personal life? He's withdrawing from tournaments. Could be mentally going through some shit. And then again, I don't know if those two are good friends, if that's something he would normally congratulate him, or if maybe they don't like each other. Maybe he's like, fuck, of all the people to lose to, I lose to the guy that I don't like. So I don't know the extent of that, because again, the only thing I saw was he missed some easy putts and kind of collapsed. So that was the biggest thing that I saw. But as far as him losing and not shaking hands, I'm okay with that. I hate after the end of games, like we'll get into the finals, but after the Mavericks lost the championship on, what was it, Tuesday night? Yeah. They show Kyrie Irving, or what was it? Was it last night or was it Monday night? I think it was Monday night.
Monday, yeah.
So they show Kyrie Irving, and there's still like a little bit of time on the clock, and he runs over to the Boston bench and he's hugging everybody and he's like shaking hands with them and like congratulating them. Like, I don't know. For me, I'm fucking pissed. I just lost the championship. Like, fuck you. I'll tell you congratulations next time I see you, but in the moment, I don't want to fucking congratulate you. You just took something that I wanted. And like, I don't know. That's just me personally, though. But you know me. I am a sore loser. I hate losing. Winning, whatever. I look at an athlete as you're expected to win. You are a professional athlete because you are the best of the best. You should win. If you don't win, that's when you should be pissed, regardless of your ranking or your team status, whatever. If you are on a court, on a field, on a course, whatever, you're expected to win if you are at a professional level, in my opinion. And I get it. I'm not naive. I understand that, like, the Portland Trailblazers probably wouldn't beat the Boston Celtics more than twice if they played 100 times. I get that. But you go into it with the mindset of we're supposed to win. We're professional basketball players playing professional basketball players. Win the game. So to see guys like hugging and yucking it up after a loss is like, I don't know, it rubs me the wrong way. It makes me fucking furious.
My only thing I would say before we end the golf conversation is that golf is all about like just that subtle respect no matter what, right? So at the end of a round, you take your hat off, you shake hands with the other guy, you congratulate on a good round. To me, I think there's that just unspoken layer of no matter what, you respect, you something to the other player, right? Just walking out like that to me is just such a slap in the face to what Rory tries to stand up to be, right? He tries to speak into existence this professionalism, the importance of honoring the game and the history and legacy and so on and so forth. But then you're the first person who doesn't go above and beyond to kind of be the ambassador of the sport you're trying to protect from these live players and be the bigger person, but yet you walk out like that. That's my only annoyance to the entire thing is that little point right there.
Well, part of me thinks that it's just this day and age with professional athletes in general. They all talk out of their ass, or not talk out of their ass. I'm sorry. They all lie. They're all going to go up there and say the right thing, and they're not going to start controversy.
They have to be PC, right?
Yeah. Because look at what's happening in the WNBA. Everyone and their brother is waiting to pounce on Caitlin Clark because they want her to say, "Fuck these bitches for beating me up and treating me like shit." But she comes out like a professional and goes, "Hey, I'm a rookie. I'm earning my keep. This is just competitive nature, and like I don't, no problems." But in the back of her mind, she wants to say, "Yeah, these jealous pieces of shit are mad that I'm better than them and that I'm the face of the league. So that's why they're treating me like shit." But she won't say that because nowadays you have to be PC. Some of my favorite people of all time at sports are the ones who talk the most shit.
Yeah.
Like off the top of my head, I'm trying to think of like who's a good example, but like he was a shitty coach, but he was entertaining. Rex Ryan. Rex Ryan would come out there and talk shit. He'd throw people under the bus. He'd make jokes. And then other people, it would kind of stir the pot and make other teams do it. I remember when there was all that shit with him having a foot fetish. And then Julian Edelman went out and did an interview, like a press conference, and he made a bunch of foot references, but like in a very subtle way. That shit's funny as fuck. I love that. I love the competitive nature. If you're on a different team, if you're an opponent, a competitor against somebody else, you should talk a little shit. And then when you're all done, you could be friends. But leading up to a game or during a game or right after a game, be enemies, talk shit, make it fun. I love that shit. It just doesn't happen anymore. That's just not the way the day and age. Like you said, Rory comes out and posts, says all this bullshit of blah, 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 blah. And then, respect the game, respect this, respect that. Then he goes out and does that shit. For me, I'd rather just don't say anything, man. I don't need you to fucking go out there and bullshit us. And then it turns out you're not this nice person. And that's the other thing with like LeBron James. LeBron James usually always says the right thing. Seems like the nicest fucking guy you can meet. Everyone in comments when I read it are all pissed off. They're like, oh, why isn't LeBron commenting on this terrible tragedy in the world? Why isn't he doing like they want him to say something so they can critique him and criticize him? So he just doesn't say anything. But that's the day and age that we are, where every fucking sentence a pro athlete makes is put under a microscope. So I am okay with guys. I don't like Rory being hypocritical when it comes to the way he speaks about golf and professionalism and shit like that. I feel like if he came out and was like, hey, fuck this guy. Like I had it. I choked. He won, but he won because I choked. Like I would say stuff like that. Like that's what I would say. Like I wouldn't give him credit for winning. I would give him credit for taking advantage of me fucking up.
Yeah.
And things like that would be cool as fuck. I would really.
The funny thing too is like that thing he came out with his publicist like 2 days later. He did congratulate Bryson in his statement that he left on Instagram. Yeah. That to me, that's also just like salt in the wound. It's like you couldn't have just said that in person. Like you have to wait to like think about how you're gonna say it. I don't know. That's this. I'm biased because I can't stand Roy. I think he's an annoyance. But it's whatever. I
don't know much about golfers, so he's like one of the only names that I actually know. So
if
I'm not a fan, it's
if Rory got hit by a car tomorrow, I'd probably just whatever. That's fine. It's gonna happen now.
It depends if Scotty Scheffler's driving. He likes to hit people. Only if they're cops, apparently. So Rory McIlroy, again, though, he is going through some shit. I kind of feel bad because I put it in the same token as Deshaun Watson. You are a professional athlete. You have all the shit that's public. You're going through it. Who knows where you're at mentally? And you have to then compose yourself. You have to go out there and try to be the best version of yourself. Everyone expects you to still be good and compete at a high level. And then when you have mental errors because you're not like mentally all together because of whatever situations are going on in your life, everyone's like, oh, this fucking guy choked. He's a bum. He left. He's a pussy, whatever. But again, the guy's going through a public divorce. Then they come back and they take away the divorce, but it's still out there. Everyone saw that him and his wife are now going through some shit. He's probably been asked questions about it from the media, things he wants to keep private, but he can't because he's a public figure. That's got to be tough. And to see him have that meltdown and then leave right after, just kind of to me, because is like, that's a telltale sign that this dude's just not all there psyche wise. He is,
and golf's the worst game to not be there all there.
You're by yourself. It is a completely mental game.
You fuck up that one. Yeah, you fuck up that one shot. The next shot in your mind, you're like, I'm gonna fuck it up again. Top it goes 5 feet. You're like, fuck this game. You want to throw the club.
So he's got all these issues going on in real life, and then on top of it, has to go publicly play golf and then fuck up, and then on top of it, choke. Like that's the other thing. Like from my understanding, he had that in the bag.
What do you mean?
Like the win?
Yeah. So he was up like two. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say guaranteed, right? But if he didn't
have these easy fuck ups, he would have won.
Had he made those two putts, it was his, right? I didn't because Bryson struggled too. Like he missed a putt, and then Bryson had to hit a 1.7% chance hit out of the sand. That sand trap, mind you, was 50, 60 yards to the hole. And I've hit out of sand traps. I'm sure you have, right? Getting them out of the sand traps 5 feet is a pain in the ass. let alone hitting that within 4 feet to do it. So Bryson had to pull like a miracle shot out of his ass to win. So had Rory hit those 2 putts, it was Rory's to lose.
Surprisingly, I have only hit out of sand like twice.
Really? Okay.
I mean, I've only been golfing for like a year, and I've only golfed
Yeah.
like, a dozen times. But yeah, I've only been in the sand like once or twice.
The level of difficulty is because you can't
it's
ground your
tough.
club. Technically, you can't ground your club, so you can't like lay your club next to the ball to kind of get a feel for it. You can't like swing your club to kind of get a feel for how it feels, right? How you do on grass. So you're literally going in there, and your point is you're smacking down on that ball, right, to try to get the ball to pop up and come out. So he does all that and then puts that ball 55, 60 yards out onto the green within 4 feet of the hole. It's just a next to impossible shot, right? Which is hats off to him.
When you're good, you're good.
Fun fact about Bryson, though, all his clubs, aside from his driver, are 3D printed. He had them 3D printed. The covers, the head cover, the heads, whatever, the faces were 3D printed and then approved by the PGA. So he's playing with personally designed golf clubs that
Didn't
are
even know
within.
you could do that, but that's
Right,
fucking
but
awesome.
it's within the realm.
And when you have all that money, you can do whatever you want, kind of.
And the funny thing too, not to stay on golf so long, but he had a whole conversation about how he takes his balls. This is funny, and dips them in Epsom salt and watches how the ball like rotates. And if whatever side goes down, he knows that the ball itself has the more weight on that side. That's in like the core is more weighted on that side. So he'll mark the ball. So when he lines up a putt, he knows what side has the heavier side, so it rolls smoother. It's crazy. Like I would never even think to do that.
Not at all. That's like obsessive, but that kind of goes back to what we talked about last week, because last week you were talking about that Kobayashi documentary.
Yeah, did you watch it yet?
I did.
Isn't it crazy?
Seeing the training for Kobayashi, how he like explains how he dips the hot dogs in the water, and like he practices just the method for like hours at a time.
The method for hours at a time.
That's literally how he did it. It looked like he was sucking dicks all the time. The one funny thing about it, and like if I would have went into that blind, or if in advance you would have told me, yeah, they made a documentary, but it's a parody, like it's a spoof documentary, I would have 100% believed you, because whenever they showed Kobayashi and he's like always crying and so emotional, I did not take it seriously. That documentary to me seemed like it was a parody, but I think it was real. That's just who Kobayashi is. But it really came off like the scenes of him just like sitting on a bus, like staring out a window. Like it made me fucking laugh.
I felt bad though.
Part.
I felt bad the time that like he backed out thinking that he had that much like swag, right? To not prevent the Nathans from going on, and then he goes and rushes the stage and gets arrested, like because he wanted to try to prove a point, and
that was
it basically went on without him, right? Well, because you had Joey Chestnut. I'm not going to watch the hot dog eating contest this year. I have no vested interest. Normally, you watch it, you want to see, is Joey going to break his record? But there's not one damn person that I've heard of that's going to come close to Joey Chestnut's record. Not at all.
No, Netflix took over. They're going to have a Kobayashi Joey
Chestnut
saw that match.
I saw that, but I'm talking about the normal Nathan's eating one.
Yeah, no, I'm saying I'll watch that. I'm not watching the Nathan's thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I'd only watch for Joey Chestnut or Kobayashi. Like, give me those two names. The other guy, like you said, I couldn't even tell you who the other people are going to be that are competing.
No.
And no one, I don't think, is going to come close to the Joey Chestnut record. So I could care less. I'll wake up on the 4th of July and it's business as usual.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we'll see. George is back, but that's okay. I like taking over now that he showed me the way.
Adjust our pictures.
I got to do that. I'm working on it. Give me a second. There we go. Let's go. So this episode was called The Legend, and that is because our man, Phil Dawson, is becoming a Browns legend. He's going into the Ring of Honor for the Cleveland Browns in the 2024 season. Long overdue.
Highest point scorer ever in Browns history. Is that what he is?
The day he retired, they should have put him in there, but that's just my opinion. Devin, let's play some golf, dude. I am fucking down. Let's go. I was talking about it earlier in the beginning of the show. I went out for Father's Day, golf with Tara and Mike. We went to Cossack Creek and had a great time. I love
one golf. Of these years we'll put together an MGA, not MGA, but a talking about balls golf outing.
100%. 100%. I am so down. I know we talked about it last year doing it, but then I had a baby, so it took a little bit of my time away.
Yeah, to go ruin it with a baby. I get it. It's cool.
You know, it happens. Just when I started getting into golf, thinking I could just go do it every weekend, I go and have a fucking kid. So.
Really took that putting the ball in the hole serious, didn't you?
Yeah, but that's just Tara's gonna learn now that she's on her own being a parent. I got too much golfing to do, so she's gotta It's the price you pay as the woman in the relationship. Papa's got to golf. So I do want to set up a Talking About Balls golf outing, though. I know most of our viewers, fans, whatever you want to call them, friends, like golf. So I think we could get a good turnout, have everybody just go out, have some fun, golf, have some drinks. That's it. I suck. I openly admit it. So that's the number one thing for me. But yeah, so Phil Dawson going into the Cleveland Browns Ring of Honor this year. Pretty cool. I mean, teams do this. Hell yeah, Devin. If once we get it all set up, assuming we actually do, we'll pass out all the information for everybody. I would love to do it. But yeah, so Phil Dawson going into the Ring of Honor. It's a cool thing. Basically, all they're going to do is put his number and his name up around the stadium. The number 4 will be retired for the Cleveland Browns. And
does anybody have 4 on our team right now? Oh, yeah, they do.
Yeah, let's just say after he's done wearing it, I don't think anybody else will. It would be kind of funny.
I had a reset moment in my brain. I'm like, what the fuck, Kyle? Yeah, of course.
It would be kind of funny if the Browns came to Deshaun and they're like, hey, man, you got to change your number. Like, Phil Dawson's going into the Ring of Honor.
Could you imagine the drama that would probably cause? Like, fuck that.
Honestly, he probably should change his number. Like, he could use like a restart. It's like when LeBron went to 6.
Did he wear 4 in college? Did he wear 4 at Clemson too? Or
I believe so. I think he's worn 4 his whole career.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, maybe a change would be good for you. Never a bad thing. George just messaged me, said he's got to have dinner and he's going to be missing the rest of the show. So George, thank you for getting everything set up for us. If you have time to come on back before we wrap up, great to see you. If not, thank you for everything and we'll talk to you soon. So appreciate it, man. I think we're in good hands now. I'm becoming a professional at this, so we're doing all right.
Well, you got the glasses on today, so you're definitely a professional. You got the whole thing locked down.
These are just blue blockers. I still have my contacts in. I'm just wearing the blue blockers just because I'm staring at a light bright in my face and a screen. And I stare at a screen all day now with work. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to get some screen protecting glasses. I don't think they actually do anything, but
such a nerd.
I'm going to try them out and see if they help. So, yeah, he's going into the Hall of Fame. Pretty cool. Again, it's only cool for a team that I like. If it happens for other teams, like I saw, Tom Brady's going into the Patriots Hall of Fame, shit like that. Like, I don't give a fuck about him.
What sucks is Phil's not going to make it into the real Hall of Fame, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, no, it's tough. It's tough to get into the Hall of Fame. There's guys that actually are super deserving. Like, in my opinion, Clay Matthews Sr. should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He probably never will, but his stats are up there with some of the best linebackers of all time. And for whatever reason, he's not in the Hall of Fame. It's kind of fucking crazy. But there's a weird bias thing with the NFL, and like they want players that have a bunch of championships, even though they don't matter for the Hall of Fame. If you're a Hall of Famer, that just means you were a great individual player. You're not going in as your team. You're going in as your career individually. So to me, bullshit that Clay Matthews isn't in terms of baseball, bullshit that Kenny Lofton's not a Hall of Famer. Like, there's a lot of guys that should be in the Hall of Fame that just aren't. And I don't know. I think Omar Vizquel should be a Hall of Famer. There's a lot of people out there that are getting screwed. And again, these guys, I'm just naming Cleveland players. I'm sure there's a million from other teams you could list, but just off the top of my head, those were a few. But at least Phil Dawson is getting some sort of recognition again. I feel like it's way too late. He's not dead, so it's not that late, but I feel like it should have happened a long time ago for Phil Dawson. Like, Tom Brady just retired. He's been retired for 1 year, and the Patriots are putting him in their Hall of Fame. I know he won them a bunch of Super Bowls. Don't get me wrong, apples to oranges. But Phil Dawson, like you said, all-time Browns leading scorer, arguably the best kicker in Browns history. Yep. And it took them, he's been retired for like 10 years now. And they're like, oh, yeah, now we'll put you in the Ring of Honor. But better late than never.
He could probably still hit a 50-yarder too if he wanted to. Guarantee it.
That was the joke with Cade York. They drafted the rookie Cade York 2 years ago. He came in and everybody joked about Phil Dawson teaching him how to kick in Brown Stadium. He actually did, my understanding. They kind of worked together, and he explained to him like the way the wind blows in certain parts of the stadium didn't help because Cade York was terrible, but he tried. So I'll give him credit for that.
At least he tried.
Yeah, so he's going into the Ring of Honor again. Cool thing, means nothing in the grand scheme of things, but pretty cool.
What's up, Roberto?
The less Roberto, what's going on, man? You like that? Like that Browns? Are you talking about the Browns background, or?
He's probably talking about my beautiful background here, my studio I have.
Gotcha. You never know. You never know with him. Any of those would make sense, honestly. You could have been like, you could have been so confident with that answer. Like, no, he loves my windows for some reason, and I'd be like, okay,
And then another blatant like answer, yes. To what?
he's a strange fella. Yeah.
Brown's
So
background. There you go. All right.
okay, we cleared the air. I guess I should add the comments. I always forget that I do that part.
Yeah, come on, producer. Let's get into it here.
I'm learning.
Pella Windows.
Pella windows. Kyle has hella windows. Those are all kind of newer windows. That's the one that got busted out, right?
No, the one I got busted out's to my right over here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's a TV. Okay.
Yeah, that
I
fateful.
couldn't picture which direction you were sitting, but now that makes
faithful December night while I was in Chicago.
Yeah,
my house
out of
gets
town,
busted.
and your fucking house got busted into by wind.
It's crazy.
It happens. So yeah, congratulations to Phil Dawson. While we're on the topic of the Cleveland Browns, though, I did want to talk to you a little bit about who do you think in the 2024 season. I want to hear you guys in the comments too, if you're still watching. Who do you think needs to have a breakout year this year? And you could give obvious answers, like Deshaun Watson's probably most people's answer. I wanted to kind of go outside the box. And my pick, Jerry Jeudy. I think Jerry Jeudy needs to go out and have a great year. We have made a lot of trades for wide receivers. We've drafted a lot of wide receivers. We've done a lot of things to get wide receivers on this team and to get them going. Oh, Robert, I didn't even see your comment. Hand to God. I have had Jerry Jeudy written down on my paper since yesterday. And obviously Deshaun Watson's the easy answer. You traded it. You gave him a huge contract. You want him to be the stud quarterback you were expecting. And you want him to lead your team to a Super Bowl, obviously. However, I was doing some thinking, and I was thinking about how Andrew Berry has gone out of his way to bring in Anthony Schwartz, David Bell, Cedric Tillman last year, Elijah Moore last year. We've tried with so many different receivers that have just not really done much except for Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper was the steal of all steals, one of the smartest trades in Cleveland Browns history. Now we trade for Jerry Jeudy. Gave him an immediate contract, not that big. The contract's decent, but it's not, breaking the bank for the Browns. But this guy was a first-round pick for Denver, considered a bust from just about everybody you talk to, especially people that hate the Browns. Number one thing they're going to come out and say is horrible trade, horrible this, that. This guy stinks. He led the league in drops, which even though he didn't, stats don't matter to people when they're trying to make an argument. And I think he needs to have a great year. You brought him in. You gave him a decent contract. He was a number one pick. Everyone's saying maybe this change of scenery is going to turn him around. I feel like he has to live up to that, because if he comes in and has a shit, average to below average year, not a great look for Andrew Berry in the talent, the grand scheme of things with the talent that he's brought in. So my pick, at least for the offensive side, I didn't even think about anybody for defense. For defense, I think we're okay. I think, Denzel, Emerson, last year, I would say
my pick was on defense. I had two picks, one on defense, one on offense.
Okay. Grant Delpit had a career year last year till he got hurt, but when he was healthy, he was a game-changing safety. In terms of linebackers, we brought in some new guys. We have Devin Bush. We've got Jordan Hicks. We've got JOK, who last year JOK had a career year already, so he was great. Myles Garrett obviously doesn't get much better than he did last year. He won Defensive Player of the Year. Zadarius Smith could step it up a little bit. He's a guy that I could definitely hear an argument for. That's kind of about it. Everybody else did their job well. The Browns had the number one rated defense, so I'm okay with defense. I'm curious to hear your answer then if you have a defensive player, Kyle.
So my pick for defense is I think that needs to have a bigger year than last year. Was my dog, clearly.
Wow, what a Browns fan. Knows we're talking Browns, getting those barks in.
she gets it right in. Is
I thought that was Jess just cheering for the team.
No, that's what she does. Shy, come here. Is Newsome. I think Newsome had a okay year, but I think he needs to have a better year than he did last year. We talked about the fact that Emerson's is outshining him, right? We think that he's a better cornerback than Newsome is. I think Newsome has the talent. I just think he needs to step it up a little bit more this year. I like to see him play a little better than he did, and that's the one player in defense I would pick. I agree with the Smith one too. I think Smith could probably be a little better than he was last year too. I like to see something out of him this year going into his second year with us. And offense, I would probably go with Elijah Moore. I need to see a little bit more out of him. We brought him in to be that speed slot guy. He didn't, I mean, the opportunities he did get, he didn't do much with them. I'd like to see a little bit more out of him because I think he's going to be that core slot receiver for us. I think it's going to be very big for us this year in that offense. Hoping, fingers crossed.
So while I agree with what you said, for sure, I look at the defense and I look at it as from an analytical perspective. So from an analytical perspective, again, with Myles Garrett, did Myles Garrett have better stats than TJ Watt in terms of sacks? No. Did Myles Garrett have more pressure rates or pass rush win percentages, all this and that? Yes, 100% he did. Things like that are what changed the game. So I look at Greg Newsome, and like you said, sure, he had a couple moments where he got beat, not a ton.
Yeah.
On the top of my head, I can't think of many times where he had huge bad moments. I can think of one really great play, and that was his pick 6 against the Ravens.
Sure.
But I also feel like for a corner, I can't recall too many times where our corners got beat. So that means they're doing their job. If they're not, you don't have to get pass breakups because that means guys aren't throwing your direction. As long as you're not getting beat, that means you're doing something right. You don't have to lead the league in interceptions. The way I look at interceptions is kind of like that, to me, good for the players that get interceptions, like Deron Bland from the Cowboys last year. I think he was on pace to have like fucking 10 pick sixes at one point last year. But for me, that screams quarterbacks just aren't afraid to throw at that guy, even though he's picking them off. Don't get me wrong. Quarterbacks have no fear. A lot of guys that get low interception numbers, it's because quarterbacks don't even throw their direction. So that's more of a testament than looking at the stat sheet. Greg Newsome's never been known as an interception guy. I believe at Northwestern in college, I don't even know if he had any career interceptions because he was just a lockdown corner that guys did not throw the ball in his direction. Same thing in the NFL. He does not have a lot of career interceptions. I think he might only have a handful, if I'm being honest. He's been in the league for 3 years now. But again, that's a testament to teams just don't throw his direction.
True. But here's the thing I had an issue with him is that why he didn't get beat off the ball a lot. That sounds gay. His tackling is what left a lot for me to desire, right? So he'd not get beat, right? They would catch the ball in front of him, but his ability to wrap up, bring a guy down, it just wasn't there, right? Or his ability to and the times he did get beat were times that the quarterback and the other team is overthrew the quarterback, was a bad throw, right? So there's opportunities that aren't on the stat sheets where I think he did get beat that could have been big plays had the other team got the ball to the receiver. But my biggest issue is they throw the ball inside. His approach, like his close speed to get to that receiver who catches it, and then his ability to bring that person down, very lackluster. I think tackling on our team in the secondary alone, it just needs some help in general, right? That's one of my biggest nervous things is the receivers would catch the ball on the other team and they'd break that first tackle easily, right? And that's sometimes just that to me is what I would love to see him improve on, not go full Denzel kamikaze, right? But at least get in there and try to bring the person down and not go for the highlight hit all the time, right?
No, I totally understand. I get it. Again, the defensive guys, I can hear arguments from both sides, but also assuming Jim Schwartz now has an extra year with everybody, I do agree with Greg Newsome, though, as you said, he needs to have a great year because he is entering a contract phase where he's going to be up for either an extension or the Browns are going to have to look to get rid of him because you can't pay everybody. And if Greg Newsome's looking at himself as a top cornerback in the NFL, he's going to want big money, and the Browns don't have a lot of that to go around. So it will be interesting to see what happens with him. And then, you mentioned, we both mentioned Zadarius Smith.
Yeah.
He's a guy who, his stats weren't there last year. He didn't have a lot of sacks, but he was really good in the run game, and he got a lot of pressures that helped open things up for Myles Garrett. And our defensive tackles got a lot of sacks last year, and that was a testament to Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith drawing those guys and opening up the middle. So things you won't see in the stat sheet doesn't necessarily mean that a guy is not performing. Excuse me. If Myles Garrett, this beer is making me
that
burp.
Beer, man.
If Myles Garrett, like in the Texans game, for instance, doesn't have a lot of sacks, he didn't show up in the stat sheet that game, but he's getting double, triple teamed. He's doing things like that. Nobody else stepped up to help, but he's still being effective and still making an impact for the game.
Yeah.
So a lot of things don't go in the stat sheet. That's why on offense, it's easy to look at that for who's going to have a quote unquote career year. Because again, Greg Newsome's stats, it's hard to judge a corner off of stats. So next year he might just have 5 interceptions and other than that doesn't really do anything too memorable. And you might go, yeah, he didn't have a great year. But then when you really think about it, you go, actually, he was pretty good. He locked this guy down, held this guy to X amount of yards, like little things like that that we're not even going to pay attention to. So it's a little tougher to judge them, but I do agree with your take because the Browns are basically in a position where they're going to have to pay Martin Emerson or they're going to have to pay Greg Newsome. And right now, my money is leaning on Martin Emerson as the guy who's going to get that contract.
For sure. He had a bigger body too, man. He's a
Yep.
hitter, right? He's a little. To me, I think he's better at locking down, and he's better at tackling. He's better at the approach, like the closing speed. Overall, last year he really stepped up, right? So last year was his step up year.
He is turning into a guy that the quarterbacks in the NFL last year were not afraid to throw at him because they were like, who's Martin Emerson? You know, his rookie year and last year, people were throwing on him. No problem at all. Now you fast forward to right now as him as a player, he's in the stat sheet. He's on some lists for the NFL's top corners. He's making a name for himself. When quarterbacks throw his way, their completion percentages are low. Yep. He's breaking up passes. I think he was one of the league leaders in pass defenses last year. So things like that kind of make a name for yourself. And that's where it's going to be. This is where a huge opportunity could arise for Greg Newsome this year is quarterbacks are now going to be like, okay, Denzel Ward obviously is fantastic. I'm going to try to avoid him. This Emerson guy is really fucking good. So I'm going to try to avoid him. My next option is the guy getting covered by Greg Newsome. So I'm going to throw his way. And then if Greg Newsome can step it up and have this year that we're hoping that he has, boom.
Yeah. I mean, on paper, yet again, on paper, the Browns have a top 3, top 4 team.
Arguably the top defense again, too.
Yeah. That and the fact that now we're under year 2 of our defensive coordinator, he's going to be working in more of his magic. I feel we're going to get more of what we had last year, and last year was fun. Watching that defense last year was fun. Like just the fact we ate up teams sometimes, that was just fun to watch.
I hit a point last year where when the defense is out there, wasn't nervous at all. The offense, 100%. I mean, obviously it's different. The offense you're watching because you want success, but you also are afraid that they might turn the ball over. So every time whoever the quarterback was, whether it was Watson, whether it was PJ Walker, whether it was Dorian Thompson-Robinson, whatever, whenever they would drop back, my heart would kind of sink a little bit because I'm like, oh, fuck, please don't throw an interception. Please don't do something stupid. But on defense, I never felt that way. On defense, I was like, all right, guys, get a stop. If they had a big, 3 and out, shut them down. If they got a sack, if they got a turnover, whatever, which they didn't even, ironically enough, they did not have a lot of turnovers last year. I think they were middle of the league in terms of turnovers, which is shocking.
They were very slow off the start. I remember towards
the middle
of the year,
in the beginning. They had two turnovers in the first 5 games or something.
Yeah, then they started to get going a little bit. They had those strip sacks. They had the interceptions. The fumble recoveries. They started get. Excuse me, water.
Basically, Myles Garrett himself dominated the stat sheet for
that one game
Indianapolis
where it was just Myles Garrett versus the entire offense. That's what it felt like, at least when he jumped over that line and blocked that kick or whatever. That was Myles Garrett's team. But I mean, he has help more. He has more help this year. We have more help on a defensive line, right? Obviously, Smith is back, but we got a tackle. We got that's gonna kind of sew up that middle a little bit.
Michael Hall, baby.
I'm getting excited about this season. It's not here yet, but I as a Browns fan, I need to kind of just take a woosah moment, step back and be like, all right, let me just see what's going to happen first,
And that's what was so exciting for me for the draft, because I'm a draft nerd, as you know, and the fact that Browns drafted Hall, then they drafted more defensive players and offensive linemen and shit like that. Browns fans who are uneducated, I'll just be honest, I don't mind saying it, the Browns fans that are quote unquote stupid, they are the ones
that marquee again.
Yeah, what the fuck? Where you at when we need you, George? But they were online and they were bitching and they're like, this is fucking stupid. Why aren't they taking wide receivers? And this is lame and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, because that's not an important thing right now for the team. They're worried about wide receiver. They're pretty well off. You have Elijah Moore, you have Amari Cooper. Defensively, you have the number one defense, and all you're doing is adding more talent and depth. I fucking love that decision. I'm so happy that they did that.
Absolutely.
And again, it goes to the Michael Hall thing. I love Michael Hall. He was the guy that I wanted them to take. And the fact that they took him to an already stout defense, already probably the number one defense in football, depending on who you're asking. And I love it. I'm so happy with that pick. I can't wait for the season to start. I want to see Michael Hall out there dominating. Michael Hall is a guy who, similar to some of the other players we mentioned, did not blow up the stat sheet. However, he did other things. He had a great pass rush win rate for a defensive tackle. He got quarterback pressures and things like that you don't see in the stats. He did. And you're putting him on a great defense already. I fucking love it. I couldn't be happier. So I'm really excited.
Last thing I would say about the Browns is just please, knock on wood, let's try to have an injury-free training camp. And
Ideally,
get to the season,
that's the goal.
get to the season fully healthy.
Well, we'll stay on the Browns just for another quick segment here because HBO announced the other day that they are doing Hard Knocks in season starting in December of the AFC North. Obviously, that's the Browns.
Pretty excited about this, kind of, right? Distractions aside, I think it's really cool that they're going to do a whole division, not just a team, but a division. So to kind of go behind the scenes and see some of the shit talking and all this other stuff that goes on, especially for these in-division games, that's going to be kind of cool to watch. Agreed.
I'm excited. Anytime you can get behind the scenes stuff with your favorite team, can you really ask for much more? No. I remember, albeit we had a great team chemistry with the 18 Browns.
Was that
Baker
the
rookie
year?
Season?
Was that the year that what's his face yelled at the receiver locker room to get their shit together?
Jarvis Landry gave that infamous speech. So that season the Browns were on Hard Knocks. That's when we had Hugh Jackson, we had Baker Mayfield coming in as a rookie. We had a lot of personalities. And again, maybe I'm biased. Maybe it's because I'm a Cleveland fan that it has a special place in my heart. But I really enjoyed that season. I haven't really enjoyed a Hard Knocks season since then, off the top of my head, that I can think of. The Cowboys were on it. I thought that season sucked. The Rams have been on it. Don't care for it.
Weren't the Lions on it last year?
The Lions were on it 2 years ago, I think. Last year was the Jets because that was the Aaron Rodgers thing. The Lions season was okay, but that was before they actually started winning. So you have this team that's years and years of failure with a new head coach who's kind of a blowhard. And for me, it was hard. It was hard to get into it. It was hard to really believe it. I didn't believe in the Dan Campbell hype. I didn't think he was going to be a good NFL coach. So for me, I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, this guy's just I'm not accusing him of being on steroids, but he comes off as like a roided up, like meathead. And I'm like, doesn't really do it for me. I feel like it's a lot of bullshit talk for a shitty team. And then they backed it up. They came out, they were tough. They won games. He said that quote about we're coming out and we're biting kneecaps or whatever the fuck he said. And again,
classic
when you hear
quote.
It is now in hindsight, it's great. But at the time you're kind of like, dude, you guys suck. Like, what are you talking about? And then, last year you have the Jets. You have the first episode. I'll never forget it. They hired a fucking magician to come in and he wrote up that little chalkboard thing. And he's like, oh, you guys are winning the Super Bowl. And then they fucking lose Aaron Rodgers 4 seconds into the season.
Bet you that guy's not invited anywhere else now.
No, I bet he also couldn't predict that one while he's doing his predictions. It was just lame. The Jets were so fucking lame. They were obsessed with Aaron Rodgers. The fact that every time they showed the coaching staff, they're all just like, oh, can you believe this guy's on our side?
Adam?
This guy's so fucking great. Oh man, I just want to suck his little dick. All this weird shit. I swear I heard Robert Saleh say that. Adam, what's up, dude? Thanks for checking in.
Perfect time for Adam to come in. That's great.
Yeah, talking about my hatred for Aaron Rodgers. But yeah, it was fucking embarrassing, truthfully, listening to the coaching staff and the management and Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh and Nathaniel Hackett and all these guys.
Comments, by the way.
Just fucking want to blow Aaron Rodgers every time he did anything. Was kind of just like, all right, I'm over this team and I'm over this guy. Seeing him get hurt 4 seconds into the season was fucking funny and couldn't happen to a better team.
The Hard Knocks preseason team this year is who? The Bears?
Yes.
Okay. And now we have the AFC North. What a division to pick, though. Clearly, in my opinion, the best division in football. So,
And that's 100% why they're doing it. Yeah, the star of the show, man. You got a knack for it. They picked the AFC North because they are expecting all four teams essentially to finish with a close to 500 or above record to be in playoff contention, to be probably the tightest division in football as it was last year. Had Joe Burrow not gotten hurt, Lord knows what would have happened in that division, truthfully.
yeah.
The Bengals were the only team in the AFC North to miss the playoffs, and they didn't miss it by much, even with Jake Browning, which to me, testament to why you don't need to overpay Joe Burrow. Maybe he's a little overrated because they won plenty of games without him. But I digress. We'll talk about that another time. But I'm excited for this Hard Knocks in season thing. To be honest, this isn't the first time they're doing it, right? They've done it before.
So the first year that did the in season was owned by Amazon Prime, if you remember.
Amazon did it with the Cardinals, I think,
Correct.
right? Then they did it with the Colts.
Then they did it with the Colts, and then I think they might have lost the rights, or the NFL just made a deal with HBO or whatever. I'm not sure how they lost this deal.
Okay, so this is going to be the first in-season Hard Knocks.
In-season Hard Knocks is going to be this one, yes. Which I like the division thing. I hope they keep that going.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited to see how they do it. As I joked with you yesterday, though, did Josh Naylor just go fucking yard? Yes, he did. Guards are beating the fuck out of the Mariners. If the Browns have a shitty season or if something goes wrong, everyone's going to then just blame HBO. They're going to be like, well, it was a fucking distraction. This is for your buddy Jamie. Any Stefanski hater or Watson hater is going to say that the cameras were a distraction and the Browns were stupid for agreeing to it, and that caused the team to choke and to fail and this and that. And you know that's going to be the case.
Oh, absolutely.
As soon as that story got announced that it was happening, Kyle texted me and was like, hey, did you see this Hard Knocks thing? And I right away said, yep, here's something for stupid Browns fans to blame. That's exactly what
we're gonna tuck that tidbit away because we know it's gonna come up eventually.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that claim that they keep receipts on things, and this is something that I want everyone to remember that I said right now, that dumb Browns fans are gonna blame this show when things don't go well. If things don't go well, I should say. Let me preface with that. If things are going well, they're gonna say they need to do it every year. They're gonna love it. They're superstitious. If things go poorly, then it's gonna be, this is stupid. They never should have agreed to it. That's dumb. Why would you put cameras in your locker room in the middle of the season? That's just shitty coaching.
A side note to this, I think this is also a good opportunity for Watson to kind of work on that image of his too, because he's going to have more cameras in his face, right? What better way to kind of massage, no pun intended, that image of yours to kind of put you in a better light? Because we talked last week about how the whole Watson thing it's getting old, right? So I think this is a good opportunity for people like, oh, I never knew that side of him before, or I never saw him like that before, or whatever. I don't know. That's just a weird thing I'm thinking, but I think that'd be kind of cool.
In hindsight, but I also could see HBO trying to do the opposite, and they're going to barely show him because they don't want people to see the good side of him. They want people to watch and to talk shit and to go, can't believe they'd put that fucking scumbag on there, blah, blah, blah.
Every time.
It's easy for them to just show another team.
Yeah,
and that's the other thing. Like we watched Hard Knocks before, obviously with the Browns.
Yeah,
they only really focus on a handful of players, and that has 5 or 6 episodes, give or take, at any given season.
Yeah,
this
but
is
not
going to be about the same, but
not the in-season stuff. But the in-season stuff is going to be all season, right? So it's going to be a lot more opportunity here.
I don't know how it works. I know it doesn't air until December, so I don't know if they're going to film from each team leading up, or if it's going to be like right before they start airing. They start filming.
If they did it like they do with the last one, they filmed all the way through until December, released all those episodes, and then kept recording all the way to the end of the season to whenever it ended, right? So, because at that point, you still have 8 weeks of stuff filmed and ready to go, and now you're recording into the playoffs. And by that point, you're kind of 4 or 5 weeks ahead already anyways, right? So that's how it worked last time with the Cardinals. Obviously, they didn't make the playoffs, so their season ended quickly, but it's might be some deep runs in these 4 teams here. So
my only concern is that I think they're going to try to be fair. So, I mean, you figure one episode of Hard Knocks is an hour, so that only leaves you 15 minutes per team.
Right.
To be fair, because I feel like fans would be pissed if you're like, okay, this episode had a half hour of the Ravens and then 10 minutes of the Browns, 10 minutes of the Steelers, 10 minutes of the Bengals, and then so on and so forth. Every week people get pissed off. I don't want them to do that either. I don't want an episode one week where it's like, this one's only the Bengals, this one's only the Browns, or Browns heavy or Bengals heavy, whatever. I'd like them to try to be as even as possible, but at the same time, I can only imagine how hard that's going to be for them to find a perfect equal amount of interesting things that happen for every team and to fit it in, and also to try to be a little diverse, where you're not just focusing on Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, fucking Justin Fields, whomever the quarterback's going to be for the Steelers. You're going to want to show defensive players. I'm going to want to see Myles Garrett midseason. I want to see Nick Chubb. I'd like to see Jamar Chase. I would like to see, Mark Andrews, whomever. Like, you have all these different players from both sides of the ball. I'm wondering how they're going to divvy that out, because again, you're working with limited time and you got 4 teams to cram into one episode. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they do it, because this is a first of its kind. And I couldn't be happier that the Browns are going to be a part of it.
I think it's going to be really cool during the division games, because it's going to be a lot of in detailed, like behind the scenes stuff, because they're probably going to focus on that game, like Steelers, the Browns, Ravens and Steelers, that's going to be highlighted probably heavily in that episode. Right.
And that's the cool thing, is that there's a lot of divisional games when this starts to air. So it's going to work out perfectly in the timing. There we go. So
you got it coming out the other end too, or is it just burps?
Just the top. The top.
All right.
Feels good. So yeah, that's exciting. I can't wait for it to happen, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, I agree with what Adam said. The drama, the negativity equal ratings. So if HBO,
I don't know, he said that. I didn't see it in the comments pop up.
I clicked that one.
Oh,
he just commented this new one. That's the only one I didn't click, but he commented on it 2 seconds ago.
You're getting a B rating right now, producer. Let's get it together here.
I can only click the button. I can't help you read it. That's the difference. The drama and the negativity equals ratings, and I agree completely. I feel like HBO could come out and kind of use Deshaun Watson as like a face of the show, almost as like, oh, here we're following Deshaun Watson and the Browns. We're gonna like use him as the name. They always do that with teams. It's always LeBron and the Lakers take on Luka and the Mavs. Do that with this show. Joe Burrow and the Bengals against Deshaun Watson and the Browns this Sunday. We're going to have all the highlights here on Hard Knocks. People are going to be like, what the fuck? Why wouldn't you say Myles Garrett and the Browns? Why would you say Deshaun? Like, people are going to be so riled up, and it's just going to start controversy. It's going to start talking, and it's brilliant business-wise, but it is fake baiting. And I learned today, I won't say today, I've learned for a long time, but I've seen so many more times recently that people make posts just for entertainment baiting. Sure. Or not entertainment, I'm sorry, for what's the word I'm looking for? Engagement baiting.
Race baiting. Oh, sorry.
No. That's only when they changed the MLB and Negro League stats. I saw a tweet earlier from Field Yates. Field Yates is a very good NFL reporter for ESPN.
Very, very reputable too. Yeah.
Super reputable. He is really smart with fantasy football. He put out his fantasy football quarterback rankings today. Now, this is not on the topic here. This is just something I saw literally an hour before the show started, but I want your thoughts, because I saw somebody's comment, and somebody in the comments said,
all NFL?
Yeah, this is just NFL fantasy football quarterback rankings. When I clicked the post, somebody put on there, this is just engagement bait. There's no way this is real. And I saw that and I'm like, engagement bait, that's a good word. And now I understand what that is, because when I read or see posts from different sports accounts on social media, they always have one fucking outrageous thing in there to get people to comment. And all the comments are just telling you how fucking stupid you are.
I see the one that's on there. That's a
So number 1, Josh Allen. Throws a lot of touchdowns, rushes for a lot of touchdowns, nailed it, no problem. Possible MVP candidate year in and year out. He's good to play 15 games a year, doesn't get hurt that often, good to go. Number 2, Jalen Hurts. Typically leads the league in rushing touchdowns for quarterbacks. Throws a lot of touchdowns too. MVP candidate. Great fucking choice for number 2. Number 3, you might want to have your reigning MVP Lamar Jackson maybe up there, right? Maybe your 3-time Super Bowl winning quarterback Patrick Mahomes up there, huh? Who throws 40 touchdowns a year. Nope. We have Anthony Richardson, who ran for like 8 touchdowns, threw for like 3, threw like 10 interceptions, threw for about 50%, and got hurt because he's a running quarterback that can't stay healthy. This ESPN Fantasy Football Sports and Field Yates has him as their 3rd overall quarterback for fantasy football. That is fucking outrageous. And I saw that and I went, what the fuck? And then I read the comments where people said, you're just engagement baiting. And that's when I went, that's a really good
I
fucking
love
word.
the fact that they doubled down with the photo of Anthony Richardson too.
Yeah. He's like, you have a list where your number 1 player is Josh Allen. You'd think you'd put your number 1 guy as the face of the list. Nope. Because they put him 3rd, knowing it would start controversy.
Yep.
Boom. Anthony Richardson to have engagement bait. Interesting that happened. But again, it worked because I look at the comments. Everyone in the comments is just talking shit about the list, but they're getting a ton of engagement because of that. And that's when I realized I've been doing this sports thing all wrong. When I post my opinion, I post what I actually mean. If I say this guy fucking blows and I don't like him, I mean that. I'm not just saying it for shits and giggles and to get people riled up. I mean all the shit that I say. I realize I've been doing it wrong. I need to start doing engagement baiting. So we'll see what hot takes I can come up with next week to engagement bait people. But I don't have any off the top of my head because I've never done it. So my brain doesn't function that way. But
That's
to
crazy.
see that as 3rd overall, I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. And what's crazy is there are people out there who are going to listen to that. They're going to see that list and go, okay, he says to take him 3rd overall. So I'm going for it. Or not 3rd overall, but 3rd in the position ranking.
Yeah, the amount of impressions on that post alone is insane.
A ton. And that's just on Twitter. I bet they posted that on their social media for Facebook and for Instagram because I don't follow anything on there of them. But I bet they did the same thing. And I bet hundreds, if not thousands of comments of just people arguing of how the fuck is this guy here? How is he better than him? Like, I bet it's just all people arguing because that's all anyone does. My algorithm on Instagram is nothing but sports. And half of them are lists of like ranking this year's corners and quarterbacks and linebackers, and everyone and their brother just fucking argues and goes, how is this guy ahead of him? He had better stats. He did this. And it's just, you watch the negativity and the comments flood in and you're like, holy shit. It's because they put guy X over guy Y, knowing people were going to be pissed about it. They did it.
And what we
Boom,
fail to
it worked.
realize is that these people get paid for clicks and topics and
they know how to, they're like, hey, we're going to hire professionals to make sure we can figure out how to get engagements and get things in algorithms. How do we do that? And these people are like, oh, we'll just post a lie.
It's the same thing I see on TikTok now. These kids, these people who get lives, right? And then like I saw like one the other day, it's like top 10 rappers of all time. And like Eminem's not on the top 10, but they went ahead and even doubled down at the bottom, said Eminem is a trash rapper. And
everyone in the comments would be like, you don't know shit.
I clicked on it. I'm like, shit, now I'm part of the problem because this is exactly why they're doing this. So they get more views, more people to follow them, and more people interacting with them. It's like anyone who makes a list of any rapper and M's not your top 3, then I just instantly stop talking to you, right? But it's just one of those things where it's like that's what people do is you want to gauge interaction so you get a bigger following, you get paid for it.
And the sad thing,
we're told to do that. We missed out on that loop. I missed out on the.
I think that's what it is. I've matured too much to be fake online. Yeah. Like everything online these days, I just assume is fake. If Tara sends me a TikTok video or like an Instagram reel of something, of somebody doing something, 99% of the time I'm like, oh, that's fake. Like you can tell it's fake. I am very cynical.
Yeah.
And it even goes as far as Reddit. There are so many people on Reddit that are clearly making up stories to the point where I don't know what's real. I don't know what's not. Reddit is relatively anonymous. I'm sure if somebody wanted to find out who you are, they could.
Yeah.
But there was a post yesterday where if I had a nickel for every time I've done this, because again, I look at it and I go, you're anonymous, so who gives a fuck? But then I'm like, just in case this is a real story and these people like are really going through a horrible time, I don't want to talk shit. But for instance, this literally happened last night, hand to God. There's a story on there, and it's for whatever reason, this one pops up in my feed all the time. I don't follow the subreddit, but it's "Am I the asshole?" That's what it's called.
I follow that thread.
So that one always pops up in my feed as like a suggested. And the one that I saw yesterday is, "Am I the asshole if I give my my husband's dream vacation trip to my sister?" And then that's all it says is the headline, and then you read it and it explains that this woman and her husband, for their his 50th birthday, whatever the fuck it was, they bought his dream vacation. He wanted to go to the pyramids of Egypt, whatever. They were going to go on a nice family trip. The husband got sick. He's in a coma. Doctors really don't think he's going to wake up. So he obviously can't go on the trip. So the wife was saying, instead of going with my kids to this trip that was their dad's dream trip, I was just going to give the trip to his sister or her sister, whomever, because she's like, it's always been her, like a dream of hers to go. And we don't want to go because he's in a coma, or at least she's like, I don't want to go. So I was just going to give the trip to them. Am I the asshole for not going on this trip with my kids or giving this trip to my kids? And reading the comments, I'm like, okay, there's some good, interesting arguments here. Yes, you should give it to your kids. Let your kids go and enjoy this trip in honor of their dad. But also, I get the ladies thing is she's like, I don't want to go because what if something happens? He takes a turn for the worse and they need somebody there to pull the plug. Or if he, God forbid, does die and now she's in Egypt and has to fly home and wait for her husband's body to get buried or whatever. So I'm like, okay, I understand both sides. Then I read more about it and I'm just kind of like, I wonder if this is fake. Maybe this isn't even real. And I immediately thought I was going to make a post and put, well, because I didn't read the whole story. I thought she meant something about taking her husband too on the trip, like having him fly out there. So I was going to make a post and I was going to say something of along the lines of, I'm pretty sure it's hard to smuggle vegetables into foreign countries. And I had it all typed out. And I was like, that's really fucking funny. And then I'm like, but if there is the off chance that this is a real story, this woman is going through misery right now, I don't want to add fuel onto the fire, even though that is a fucking top-notch killer joke.
The amount of like upvotes and gold you would have got or whatever.
I deleted it and I just thought to myself, man, that would have fucking killed, but I'm not going to post it. But it's little things like that I know I could have done it. I would have caused engagement. People would have been either pissed at me. People would have thought it was hilarious. There's no middle ground. I would have gotten so much fucking shit from it. And I was like, not worth it. I kind of don't want my phone blowing up all day at work because I made this comment, even though it's really funny. Maybe this is a true story. Everything on Reddit's anonymous. So maybe it's a true story. Maybe it's bullshit. Who knows? Who cares? I was like, in my head though, that's a top-notch joke. I was happy with just the thought that I thought of
classic.
It.
That'd have been classic JG right there.
Yeah, it was really hard for me to delete that one, but I did it. When Instagram doubles down and it's like, are you sure you want to discard this comment? I put yes. Like I didn't really want to.
Reddit's even questioning, like, nah, bro, that was a pretty good joke. You
I was waiting for like one of the moderators to be like, hey, dude, you can't delete this. Like you have to post this. But I deleted it, but I thought it was a fucking top-notch joke. And yeah, apparently you just have to be a piece of shit on the internet and lie and make up stories and do anything you can to get engagement. And I
I'll be honest, that's the best part about Reddit though. I've seen some of the funniest shit on Reddit and some of the funniest like comments towards people on Reddit, like that I would never even think about. Like I'm like,
oh, it's so Christ.
Good. That's hilarious. Like the one-liners, that's the best. Like it's just the best.
Yeah, Reddit is like my new favorite social media because it is anonymous. Yeah. And that's, I think what I hate about everything else is like, I don't care about politics. It's the people that are obsessed with politics that like rub me the wrong way. Like yesterday I made a joke. I literally was Tara and I share a calendar and on our phones. And I was trying to remember what time my dentist appointment was today. I literally did have a dentist appointment. That joke that I made on Facebook and all that was a true story because I thought of it. I had a dental cleaning today at 4:30 and I thought about it. I'm like, okay, let me put it in the calendar, June 19th. I'm like, oh shit, it's Juneteenth and I'm getting my teeth cleaned, June teeth. And I was like, huh. So I put it in our calendar as June teeth. And as I'm sitting at work yesterday, I'm like, I could probably put that on like Facebook. Like that's kind of funny. It's not like offensive or anything. So I make the post and whatever, not my greatest joke, but not my worst. So I throw it on there and I look, most of the comments and laughs and stuff like that from people are diehard Trump people who, I'm just going to be honest, I won't name names. A lot of them have not had the greatest things to say about African-American people. And they think Juneteenth is a joke. Juneteenth is a joke. And they're like, oh, everything's closed on Juneteenth. That's bullshit, blah, blah, blah. Like they're all making jokes about it. First and foremost, who gets mad about not having to go to work? I've never understood that. But secondly, I would love it. Like I wish my company closed today for Juneteenth. They didn't, but I wish they would have. But other people actually got the day off.
Let's be honest. You work for a German company. They really don't think too highly of any other race.
We work harder on Black holidays and Jewish holidays. They actually make us stay an extra hour on all those. But
I mean, this heat outside is right up their alley.
So they've actually. I will give them credit. They did a nice thing. They let people kind of pick their hours this week. So a lot of the shop guys, they told them they can start at either 5 or 6 instead of our normal 7 o'clock. And a lot of guys have been doing that because they get to get out earlier. So they work 5 to 1:30 to kind of beat the heat. not to be a dick, I did say it in front of all the shop guys because they were asking me like, well, what are you going to work? And I was like, I work in the fucking office. I'm like, I have air conditioning. I'm coming in at 7. I don't give a shit about the heat. So kind of rubbed it in their face a little bit, but they deserve it.
So you would say it was hot as an oven in that building, huh?
I wouldn't know. It was very comfortable in my 69-degree air conditioned office today. I'll tell you that. But so it's cool of them to do that.
That's
but
great.
But yeah, like I made that Juneteenth joke, and all of a sudden, all these people that were like laughing at it and like making jokes about Juneteenth, and it's like I didn't make any type of joke. I'm not bashing the holiday like that. How was this portrayed as some sort of like anti-Juneteenth joke?
Every person on that side of the equation is like one of us. He's finally coming.
100%. The amount of people, like there were people that liked it that I don't think have ever liked any of my stuff, and I'm looking at it like, huh. And I know these people, and I'm not lumping everybody into the same category.
Engagement post.
Diehard Republicans, diehard Trump, like not Trump fans, Trump fan club, like fanatics. And these were people that were liking the post. I'm thinking in my head, like,
there's a fan club for this.
I'm like, it's worse than that. And I'm like, oh fuck, like this joke did not go the way I wanted it to. These people think I'm like making fun of Juneteenth, but that is not what I was doing. But
that's what we call engagement baiting.
Just shows you the internet. Yeah, I had nothing to do with it. People took it that way. It got people going. I was like, whatever. I'm not saying shit. I almost wanted to make a follow-up post today to be like, hey, just so everyone knows, I'm not racist. Like that had nothing to do with the holiday. I just thought the words sounded alike, and I thought that was funny. That was literally the gist of it. But it is
I got the joke. I'm sure others did too.
I'll never apologize for a joke anyway. So that's just who I am.
We're kind of behind the 8 ball here, sir. We got some topics.
We're doing fine. We got a half hour. We're gonna rip through the NBA because the NBA is pretty quick. This
kind of like Boston ripped through Dallas.
Will be quicker than the finals. Yeah. So a 4-1 Boston Celtics win. Couple takeaways for that really quick. I'll get off my chest and then I'll let you get your thoughts in there too, or we can go. Yeah, let's ping pong. We'll go back and forth. First takeaway from it. Kyrie Irving is a fraud. He is nothing without LeBron James. There were people hyping him up as this guy with all this finals experience because he went there multiple times with the Cavaliers and he was going to help carry the Celtics. He was a choke artist. He came out and acted like the negativity and the booing doesn't bother him. Those Boston fans put him in the fucking dirt. He had no idea what to do out there. He looked like a fucking bum just because they booed him and talked a little meanly to him. To me, that shows Kyrie is nothing without LeBron James. I was about to give him an apology. I do kind of apologize to Kyrie, and I don't hate him as much as I used to. I was able to come to terms with what he did and why he left Cleveland, and I was willing to support the Mavericks in the finals because I hate Boston that much. When I heard all the rumors that basically Kyrie's feelings got hurt when he found out LeBron tried to trade him. You know, LeBron basically runs the show, and after the championship in 2016, which, happy anniversary, everybody. Today is the official 8-year anniversary of the Cavaliers championship. For those of you that didn't know,
yeah, my memories on Facebook were great today.
Oh, mine are wonderful. So after the Cavs won the championship in the offseason, there was a rumor that LeBron James went to the front office and said, I want Kyrie traded for Chris Paul. Didn't happen. Rumors came out. Kyrie found out. Kyrie's feelings were hurt. Kyrie said, get me the fuck out of here then. You don't want me? I'll go. At the time, because I'm a Cavs fan, fuck you, Kyrie. I hate you. I hope your career sucks. You know, this and that. You don't want to be here. Fuck you. Then I think about it and I go, I guess I'd be kind of pissed too if I just won a guy a championship, hit the biggest shot in Cleveland history, and he's like, "Now get him out of here." My feelings would be hurt. Somebody that I thought was a brother that, you know, we were going to have a long career together, and you betray me like that. I would have hurt feelings. So I do understand where Kyrie came from, so I forgive him for that. I was willing to put that aside, willing to support the Mavericks, hope Kyrie could get his second ring, and then he just fucking choked. He was pitiful.
The fact that he was high-fiving the other team with 3 minutes left to go
irritated. He's hugging guys and congratulating them. Like, fuck you, dude. There's no way I'd be doing that.
So, I mean, I honestly, it was probably the most boring finals I've ever watched in my entire life, right?
It was bad.
I mean, there were times I didn't even finish watching the whole game. I'd watch half and be like, this is pathetic. And the night that Dallas blew them out, that was on purpose. They lost on purpose only so they could close out in Boston. There's no other explanation to that whatsoever. No, I don't think Boston's as good as we'd like to think Boston is, but I also think that Dallas is as bad as they were matched up badly. They squeaked out of that Western Conference final, but I don't believe that Dallas was as good. Or, I mean, Boston was as good as they played against Dallas.
No. And this will make me sound like a huge hater, and I'm okay with that. Boston had the easiest road to a championship I can remember, truthfully. And again, it's going to make me sound like a hater. First round, who did they face? The Miami Heat. Who did Miami not have? Their best player, Jimmy Butler, was not playing.
Yeah.
They beat the Heat, no problem. Second round, Cavs in Boston. Okay, Donovan Mitchell takes over. We win game 2. No Jared Allen for that series, mind you. Then Donovan Mitchell gets hurt. No Mitchell. No chance for the Cavs. Season over. Boston advances. Next round, Eastern Conference Finals. They're taking on the young Indiana Pacers, who have a team full of guys who have never even been to the playoffs, who are now competing for one round away from an NBA Finals appearance. Their best player, Tyrese Halliburton, gets hurt after game 2, misses the rest of the series. Then they go to the finals, and like you said, they take on, what were they, the 5 seed, the 6 seed, whatever Dallas was. They were an average team most of the season. Nothing special. Defensively, they were pretty good, but the fucking wheels fell off. Super young team, except for Kyrie and a handful of other guys. Most of those players have never been that far in the playoffs in their lives. A lot of them were young rookies that have not even seen the playoffs. Just got embarrassed by Boston. Easiest finals appearance I've ever seen. Boston did not have to go through Joel Embiid, who basically played on one leg in the first round.
Right.
They did not have to face Giannis Antetokounmpo, who was injured for the entire playoffs. They didn't have to face a healthy Cavaliers team that gives them trouble because no Mitchell, no Allen. They didn't have to face Tyrese Halliburton, who the Pacers for most of that series actually played really well. And
Pacers could have won that series. That game
Pacers
1, if they would have won
first
that
two
game
games,
1, yeah.
No question about it. They pissed away those first 2 games. That would have changed everything. They fucked up. Kudos to that for Boston for coming back. But then in the other games, no Tyrese Halliburton. The best player on Indiana, out. Boston had the easiest fucking road. Who eliminated Boston from the playoffs last year? The Miami Heat with Jimmy Butler.
Yep.
Jimmy Butler didn't play this year. Totally different series. They beat him in 5 games. For me, one of the fucking most forgettable championship runs I have ever seen.
I wasn't a fan. I mean, I wanted to get it over with because it's pathetic, but I mean, whatever. Congratulations to Boston. It's 18 for them now, but whatever.
Fuck 'em.
Fuck it.
Fuck
it.
And then really quickly, Dan Hurley turned down the Lakers job officially. He's staying at UConn. Looks like more than likely it's going to be JJ Redick. Who knows?
Which is funny to me, but whatever. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, because the JJ Redick rumor came and then it went. Dan Hurley then became the hot rumor for the head coach. Then that went away because he turned him down. Now it's back to JJ Redick. The Cavaliers, no fucking idea who their head coach is going to be. Here we are, still don't have a head coach. The draft is a week from right now. The NBA draft is going to be starting. No idea who the Cavs.
I don't even hear any rumors of who they're trying to get.
I heard Borrega and Kenny Atkinson still are the top 2 candidates. It's just a matter of what the fuck are we waiting for? Why hasn't one of them been signed?
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
And then what are we doing with Mitchell? Are we going to extend him here soon? What's going to happen? I mean, are they waiting for one piece before the next piece? Like I don't know.
So in terms of Mitchell, if I'm not mistaken, there are weird rules with the NBA that an agreement or an extension, cannot be announced until July 10th or something like that.
Really?
If I'm not mistaken, there's a deadline where they're not allowed to officially announce it. So that could happen, and you might see rumors about it, but you're not going to see anything official because I don't think you're allowed to. But speaking of Donovan Mitchell, there were some reports that I've seen that are going all over the place now that say Donovan Mitchell has come out and told people, A, he wants to stay in Cleveland, and B, he wants the core 4 to stay together.
Including Garland?
He wants, Garland himself, Allen, and Mobley. He wants all 4 guys back on the Cavaliers, which, interesting little tidbit. We could talk about it more next week because we don't, nothing will happen between now and then. Isaac Okoro, I did not realize, is an unrestricted free agent.
Really?
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Do the Cavs bring him back, or is he going to go seek a good contract elsewhere? Because he's a great defensive player. Offensively, leaves a lot to be desired. I think he's a good piece for this team, but I also think we could do better without him. We could find somebody better. So that's something to keep an eye on. But yeah, the latest rumor that I saw was Donovan Mitchell said he wants the core 4 to stay together.
So that would throw everything we talked about out the window, right? Of all these potentials, trades and releases or whatever's going to happen. And we thought that Mitchell wanted Garland gone. Well, I think it's actually Garland wants to be away from Mitchell, but that's crazy. That's crazy.
Damn near a day after the finals, or after, I'm sorry, the Cavs got eliminated. All I saw was Garland played his last game as a Cavalier. Jared Allen played his last game as a Cavalier. These guys are all out. Don't be surprised if the Cavs put Mobley on the trading block, like all these crazy fucking rumors. And now all of a sudden everything's gone.
He wants to run it back.
We're running it back. We don't even have a head coach. Who gives a fuck? Donovan Mitchell's going to be a player coach, I guess. But we'll see what happens. And maybe by next week we'll have a head coach. But that's the one cool thing. I don't follow college basketball enough. There's too many European players or like overseas players that come in and play that I've never heard of that get drafted. So I don't pay attention to that kind of shit. But this time next week, the NBA draft will be happening. The Cavs do have a number 1 pick or first round pick.
It's like number 1. Sweet.
Does Bronny James go in the first round? Because the NBA, for the first time ever, is doing round 1 Wednesday night, round 2 on Thursday night. They're trying to make it a big event.
Where do you think he goes? Do you think he goes in the second round?
Second round to the Lakers. Rumors I've seen, he's not even willing to talk with other teams. He's only worked out for the Lakers. His agency, Rich Paul, is refusing meetings with other teams. They're not even meeting with other people. So
dude, this is such a,
it's the worst kept secret that he will be a Los Angeles Laker.
It's such a crazy thing that he's only getting this because of his dad, and he's not worth this.
No. And they're putting a special clause into the contract, or not even a clause, but they are already saying he is not signing a 2-way contract. So he will not be a G League player. He is an NBA player only.
Fucking really? That's how many people is that going to piss off?
Everybody. Imagine being the guy that gets sent down to the G League on the Lakers because of him. When you go, I'm fucking better than this guy, I would demand a trade immediately. Be like, send me to a team where I can actually play, where there's not nepotism. But we'll see what happens. I actually heard really quickly, I want to get your thoughts. I don't know the name of the show. Oh, shit. Josh Naylor just went yard again.
He's feeling himself.
I don't know the show. So today, because it was Juneteenth, everybody on ESPN 850 was off. So they were playing, I think it was a national show. I don't know who it is. I just turned it on at 9 o'clock to listen to Rizzo, and I heard these random people talking. It was like a girl and some guys. No idea what the show was. But I was listening to it for a couple minutes, and I'm like, oh, this actually isn't too bad. I've never heard this before. Let me listen. They were talking about Bronny James. They said, the one guy, this is where they lost me. The dumbest fucking argument I've ever heard. The guy goes, so they asked Bronny James, what's your lifelong dream? And he said to play in the NBA. And now he won't meet with any teams except for the Lakers. So your dream isn't to play in the NBA. Your dream is to play on the Lakers only. And it's like, hey, dude, I don't want to break the news to you here, but the Lakers are a fucking NBA team. So if he goes to the NBA to play for the Lakers, he is an NBA player. He is fulfilling his dream of being in the NBA, you fucking idiot.
Another national person getting spotlighted in the radio, not knowing what they're talking about.
I heard that, and I'm like, he's really dying on this hill, arguing, saying that Bronny James doesn't want to play in the NBA. Bronny James wants to play in the Lakers. An NBA team, you fucking idiot. I couldn't believe it. And everyone on the show is like, yeah, that's a good point. Yep. And I'm like, what the fuck? I turned it off right after that.
And this is the people who get these and get paid to have these opinions.
Probably a lot of money to do that too.
I just want to just give me a little bit of the money, just a little bit.
I would do it for so cheap. Like if they paid me what I make now, which is enough for my current job, but in terms of like working in entertainment, is probably a budget, a good, nice, easy payday. I would do it for that, no question. I'd put my heart and soul into that fucking job. I wouldn't have stupid takes like that. But I digress. Speaking of getting paid for sports-related things, today, ladies and gentlemen, we wanted to talk about. Oh, I completely forgot to change the banner on that or the background for the NBA Finals talk. So really quick, for those of you that were wondering, yes, we did talk a little Finals, and then we did talk a little Cavaliers. So there you go for everybody at home.
B- producer.
However, we are back to talk about our favorite sports-themed television shows of all time. And I like that one better. In no particular order, Kyle and I have made a list. If you're still watching at home, we want to know your favorite sports-themed television show. I will start.
Okay.
And again, in no particular order, what I did was a list of 5 and then honorable mentions. So I will start with my 2 honorable mentions just because I don't want to save those for the end. They're not exciting.
I'll start with mine too. It's fine.
My 2 honorable mentions. Number 1, Ballers with The Rock on HBO.
Good
was a
show.
really good show. I really liked it. The last couple seasons, give or take, kind of fell off and got a little outrageous with The Rock going from being basically a broke drug addict to all of a sudden now I think he owned an NFL team for a little bit, was becoming the commissioner. Just a little outrageous towards the end of the show.
I mean, it's a Rock written show, so of course he ends up on
Exactly. He
top
has
at
to
the
make
end.
himself the best. So lost me a little bit towards the end, but overall, a good show. Well worth watching every episode. Would I ever go back and start it from the beginning and watch it again? Probably not, but it was
No.
good, worth the time. And my second honorable mention show is a show that I don't know if a lot of people have ever really heard of. It was kind of under the radar. Brockmire, starring Hank Azaria, the baseball show, where he was a Major League Baseball announcer. He was a huge alcoholic, said a bunch of bad shit, basically got canceled, then had to go work for some shitty like single A team where he's this coveted, known national figure, Brockmire, one of the best announcers in baseball history, but because he basically got blacklisted and canceled, he's now doing minor league games, and he's still a drunken fool causing ruckus, but fantastic show, very funny. Hank Azaria is fantastic in
I
it.
like that.
It came close to making my top 5.
I did have
missed.
that show in my
Oh, you've
top
seen
5.
Brockmire?
Yeah, I've watched episodes of it. I thought it was really, I watched the whole thing, but it's a really
Okay.
good show.
Yeah, that was
and
one
then
that I used to watch every week when the new episodes came out.
Then I had it on my honorable mentions, but then I ended up cutting it when I put these two in. So my 2 honorable mentions are they're honorable mentions because they're not like the common like sports shows as you might want to think. The first one is The League, the fantasy football, the show that was on FX.
Yeah, great show.
Only because it's fucking hilarious. And like you can relate so much to some of the fantasy football talk, the shit talking, the back and forth, and it's funny as hell. And the other one is a sport, but it's not something you think of, but Cobra Kai, karate, it's a sport. Another great show. I was really skeptical at first when they came out with it. I didn't think that it was going to be all that good. Oh my God, dude, you got to watch it. Come on now.
Never seen an episode. I also I've never seen all the Karate Kid movies. I've seen the first 2. Maybe.
What a letdown here. But it's a good show. Anyways, if you get a chance to ever watch it. It's a good show. Those are my honorable mentions: The League and Cobra Kai.
All right, and then I will start with my list again. This is in no particular order.
You want to go back and forth here, or do you what is?
Yeah, we'll bounce back and forth.
Okay, all right.
So I will ping pong off you a little bit because on my top 5 list is The League. I love that show.
There you go.
It's actually I talked about it last week. I finished Malcolm in the Middle on Hulu. I watched every episode of that entire series again, and it was great. So I'm kind of in limbo right now on a new show to start. And I'm debating between 2 shows on my list. One of them is The League. And
you've never watched The League?
No, I have. I want to go back and rewatch it from the beginning.
Yeah. I want to rewatch The League too. I think I've rewatched it twice already, but it's always worth watching because
I think I've only ever watched it when they were live. I'd watch it every week when a new episode came out. And then now that it's off the air, I just thought about it. I'm like, I've seen some replays when it would be on TV, but I've never actually gone from start to finish and rewatched it. And I kind of want to because I really enjoyed it. So The League makes my top 5, and I think The League is inching very closely to being a show that I'm going to start again from the beginning and rip through because my Tuesdays and Thursdays when I'm at home on daddy duty, when she's sleeping, I kind of just sit around bored waiting for her to wake up. So I watch TV.
Great show. One of the shows in my top 5 is 30 for 30, the documentary on ESPN, the ones that go into some of the cool behind the scenes stories that, we've heard about, but maybe don't have all the details to. But that entire 30 for 30 series has a lot of good stuff. Some of it not so much, but there's a lot of good shows on there.
Sure. Another one I can kind of piggyback off of because not every show I have on here is a produced TV show sitcom type of thing. I enjoy history. So I have The Dark Side of the Ring, the Vice show.
I had that one down as an honorable mention. That's a great pick. Great pick.
I love that series. I'm not the biggest wrestling fan. I really only watched during the Attitude Era. Then I kind of fell off for a long time, and now I'm kind of like I keep up with it, but even still, like there's plenty of guys in WWE.
Yeah,
or whatever
but a lot of this stuff on here is all mostly about the Attitude Era. Sometimes, like a lot of it's
more so like early, like 60s, 70s type guys. But it's cool because there's guys that I've heard the names of, but I don't really know who they are. Like there's one I just watched. I'm watching the 5th season just finished, so I'm almost done with it. I'm on the last episode. But one of the episodes for this season was like of Sandman. Sandman was a cool wrestler from like the 90s,
Yeah,
early
yeah,
2000s, maybe, I guess.
ECW, yeah,
ECW,
yeah.
WCW, all that. And I didn't really watch back then. So I've heard the name, but I don't know anything about the guy. So seeing him, someone from probably when, you were growing up in your teenage years, Sensational Sherry,
Oh, Jesus.
from
Watch it.
the
That's
70s and 80s.
before me too.
So they had an episode about her, and she's somebody that same thing. Like I had heard of her because of like the history of wrestling, but I don't
Yeah.
know anything about her. So to learn about and the other thing is, if you watch too many of them in a row, it can get kind of depressing because most of these people are all just
Dead.
great people, family member, like dads,
Yeah.
moms,
Yeah.
whatever. Then they become drug addicts and they all just die. So I was watching a bunch of them, and Tara even noticed, and she goes, "Are all these just about guys that just do drugs and die?" And I'm like, "Not all of them. Some of them are still alive."
Yeah.
But you
That's
learn a
great.
lot. Like I watched the Sandman episode yesterday. A couple weeks ago, I watched the Abdullah the Butcher episode. He's still alive. So there's a lot of history in these shows, and it's just really cool to learn about that. And it's produced by Chris Jericho, who does a really good job with it. So Dark Side of the Ring is in my top 5.
Good choice. Next one for me is Eastbound and Down, because that show's fucking hilarious. Baseball related, a lot
Kenny
more
fucking
comedy
Powers.
than baseball, but Kenny fucking Powers is probably like top 10 TV characters of all time, I'd say. Just how he is and who he is. But Eastbound and Down made my top 5.
Another piggyback. Eastbound and Down is in my top 5.
No,
I fucking love that show.
We didn't share these lists before.
No, we never talked about this at all in advance. Kenny Powers is one of the funniest characters on TV. I think Danny McBride, the actor that played him, is a phenomenal actor. I think he's funny as fuck. Kenny Powers is one of my favorite shows of all time, not just of sports. I quote that show all the time. Stevie Janowski, his buddy in the show, is fucking hilarious. I quote him and I say dumb shit like that all the time just because I love that show. Ashley Schaefer, BMW, Will Ferrell was great in it. Literally everything about that show was fantastic. I've rewatched that show from start to finish probably 3 times. I own every season on DVD and Blu-ray and shit, and I love that fucking show. So Kenny Powers, Eastbound and Down, for sure in my top 5.
I have a feeling this one might be in your top 5 too, but for me, Ted Lasso, probably my number 1 sports one, maybe number 2, but tearjerker of a show, kind of get you in the feels, but hell of a show, man. Hell of a show.
Same. I have Ted Lasso in my top 5. It's not, I'll admit, it's not my favorite. It's definitely not topping my list if I were putting these in an order. But I enjoyed Ted Lasso. I feel like it was great. There were a few episodes, and in like the later season, it kind of got a little stale for me, if I'm being honest. That's just me personally. But overall, fantastic show. Looked forward to it coming out every week. Great cast. Everybody was fantastic. Really good show, like you said, heartwarming, but also real at times. But overall, really good show. I love Ted Lasso. I couldn't recommend it enough to other people.
Great pick.
And we have reached the end for both of us. So here we go.
Oh, I still got 2 more. You went first.
Do you?
Yeah, you went first.
Did I? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So my next one is going to be Friday Night Lights, kind of aging me a little bit. But it's a good show about high school football.
Never seen an episode.
So I don't know if you like it so much. It's a drama series, but
that's what always turned me off.
It's mostly around football, right? But it has that drama built in and relationships, but it's a really good show, but it does hinge on football a lot, high school football, right?
Okay.
So that made my top 5. It was a good show.
So my show, not my number 1. It's not in a particular order, but my last on my list is not about high school football, but it's about college football. And this is the second show that I'm currently in a debate with myself over what I'm going to start again from the beginning and watch all the way through. Blue Mountain State. I love this show. I watched it when it was
I just started rewatching it again.
I've seen it all the way through, like I think maybe twice. I know once for sure. I know they came out with a movie years and years after the fact. Wasn't that great?
The sad one, yeah.
Yeah, but the show is fantastic. It's funny. Again, I'm going to go back and rewatch it. I think it's between that and The League. I'm going to start. I'm probably going to go with Blue Mountain State, if I'm being honest, only because Blue Mountain State's on Netflix and there's no commercials. Hulu, I have commercials. So just in terms of what I can watch faster, I might go with Blue Mountain State. But to round out my top 5, I have in order. That's just how I wrote them down. The League, Eastbound and Down, Blue Mountain State, Ted Lasso, and Dark Side of the Ring. That is my top 5 in no particular order. Great. Favorite sports television show.
And my last one to make the list is Welcome to Wrexham, the one with Ryan Reynolds. That they buy the soccer team and basically turn it around. I did not know if I liked that at first because I'm not a soccer fan, right? Like real soccer, unlike Ted Lasso. But I kind of get invested in that show and kind of see what they're going to do. I'm really invested to see what they're going to. I haven't watched this new season yet. I think it just came out, right? The first episode recently.
I know it's out. I couldn't tell you.
I haven't watched it.
I have them all recorded.
I
I've
think
seen
they
a couple
peaked,
episodes,
they
but I've
peaked
never
last
watched
year
it.
because they got promoted, right? So
I heard
they
that.
won. They won the championship in their division or whatever. So now they get promoted to a better division. So now I'm wondering if they get smashed down this year. If not, but so I'm curious. But so yeah, Welcome to Wrexham. So my top 5: Ted Lasso, no in particular order. Friday Night Lights, Welcome to Wrexham, Eastbound and Down, and 30 for 30. Those are my top 5 sports shows.
All right, that's fair. Great lists. Again, anybody watching out there, love to hear your guys' lists. Send them our way, and we will recap. And I'll tell you how wrong you are if you don't have the shows that Kyle and I picked, because that's what I do. With that being said, we have reached the end of the show. Everybody's favorite segment. It is time for Just the Tip. And as always, we start off with Kyle. So Kyle, let everybody know what you're into this week.
So I normally go back, and we were just talking about rewatching shows. Well, I watched this show every week on USA back when it first came out in 2014. It's a show called White Collar. It is actually on Netflix right now. They just came out with it, and not came out with it, but they came out to watch it. And it's a great show. So basically, I'm not sure if you've seen it, but the premise of the show is Neil Caffrey, which is the guy on the right there, is a ex-con. He is basically a forger, steals artwork, does all this stuff, right? White collar crimes. No, right? There's a show. The guy on the left is Peter Burke, the FBI agent who's called him not once but twice, the only guy to ever catch him. And what happens is the beginning of the show is that they get him on basically a work release from prison, and he works with Peter to bring down criminal masterminds, but while still doing shady shit in the side, basically. But it's a good show. I like it. It's a thinking show. It's not one of those like drama, like love triangles. Actually, every episode's like a new case. And, it's not cheesy in any means. I think it's pretty good. That 45 minutes was an episode, but you get into it. I like the storyline. I like him and Maz. Maz is the guy, probably don't remember him. He died recently, but he was a guy in Sex and the City, short guy, bald with glasses.
I think I know who you're talking about. I've never watched Sex and the City, but I think I know him.
He's in the show, and he's like his henchman, basically. And it's just funny. It's a good show to watch. I just got recently back into it. I'm already through season 5 already, but it made me think about it. Now they just came out with of course, the popularity of Netflix pushing it, right? They're going to reboot the show, and they're bringing back the top 3 characters. So they're bringing back these 2 guys and Peter Burke's wife, who played Kapowski on Saved by the Bell. That's his wife.
Tiffany Amber Thiessen, Kelly Kapowski.
That's
she's
her.
in that show.
She's in the show. She's the wife of the FBI agent. So
good for her. I didn't even know she was acting.
Give it a watch it if you might like it. But I like the show, so I recommend it.
I'll check it out. I've definitely heard of it, but I've never seen it. My recommendation this week is a book that I've recommended before that was adapted into a television show for Peacock. And I was really excited because, truthfully, one of my favorite books of all time. It is The Tattooist of Auschwitz. They made it into a 6-part series on HBO. It stars, I can't think of his fucking name right now, of course, as the show's starting. Harvey Keitel, I believe, is the guy who plays main person as like an older person. Fantastic book. First and foremost, I recommend reading the book first. The book is great. It's a true story about a guy who worked in the Auschwitz concentration camp who was Jewish. He agreed to go because nobody knew what they were going to do to the Jews. So he's like, okay, I'll just go to this camp. Let me pack a bag. I'll see you guys when I get back. Little did he know he would be there for years. He would never see most of his family ever again. And the drama and heartache that he saw while he was there was terrible. And again, true story. This guy goes there, somehow gets lucky, and they're looking for a new tattooist, and he decides to do it. And that basically saves his life, because if you're a tattooist, you get to sleep in a special quarter. Like you get a special bunk. It's by no means glamorous, but you get your own special little room. You get to get up and go work, and it's only tattooing. It's not hard labor where they beat you and whip you and you're in the elements. Although it does suck, you are tattooing your own people to give them a number to later just be identified as, because they're no longer humans. It shows the other people, like it's very brutal, and it doesn't hold anything back. You see people get killed, and they show you like little kids getting carried to gas chambers and like really fucked up things. But it all was true. It all happened. And this is a story of a guy who somehow gets lucky, and the guard that's in charge of him kind of takes a liking to him, where he still treats him like complete shit, but he does give him a little bit of
Wiggle room.
leeway to do things. And that's how this guy finds a woman that he falls in love with. And the guard, in exchange for favors from each other, allows him to sneak off to go see her every once in a while, helps him pass some notes to her, and just does a couple nice things. But at the same time, is still a piece of shit because he's still murdering innocent people and finds it kind of funny to work in a concentration camp. Really fucked up. But I've said it before, I am obsessed with the Holocaust stuff. There's actually a Hitler documentary that just went on Netflix that I want to watch.
Yeah,
But
I started it. I got the first episode in, and it's a thinker. It's a you got to give it time to breathe show.
Yeah.
And it takes, but it's definitely deep. It's definitely.
I'll be
deep.
watching it, and I love that kind of stuff. But again, this book was truly one of my favorite books that I've ever read. As soon as I finished it, I couldn't recommend it to people enough. And then when I saw they were making a show out of it, I was really excited to watch it. It's pretty damn accurate to the book, but in the best way possible. They did a fucking fantastic job. I loved it. So if you get a chance, I think it's on Peacock, check it out. The Tattooist of Auschwitz. Yeah. It's only 6 episodes. They're about an hour long, so it's not terrible. You can knock it out in like a week or so, watch an episode a day. So that's my recommendation, and that's it. Kyle, anything for you?
Nothing, my friend. We will talk again next week.
All right, everybody. We will talk to you next week. Same time, same channel. Cleveland, that was for you.